Although the father and son were skeptical, they did not dare to say much and could only stagger away. The saintess was about to ask Yun Chujo why she did this when she heard Yun Chujo say, "Mother, we have wasted a lot of time. Let's go back first. Otherwise, that old bastard Vice Palace Master Lu will be suspicious." Hearing Yun Chujo's words, the saintess could only suppress the doubts in her heart. She followed Yun Chujo back to the cave. After covering the entrance, they returned to the tunnel. After the two of them left the forbidden area, Yun Chujo looked around. Sure enough, she saw a few sneaky figures. She couldn't help but sneer in her heart. "I'll let you guys jump around for a few days." Yun Chujo deliberately raised her voice and said, "Saintess, I'm really too stupid. It took you so long to learn the consecration ceremony of Shang Envi." Shang Envi said lightly, "Although your comprehension is a little low, you can still learn it if you practice hard. Come with me and I'll give you some pointers." "Yes." Yun Chujo followed Shang Envi to the main hall. Shang Envi asked the maid to serve lunch and sent them away. "Little Joe, why did you let those two people go? If they go out and talk nonsense, wouldn't it be bad? We should kill such petty people." Shang Envi said fiercely after opening the isolation array. "Mom, I think the ancestors of those two people are really smart. They actually thought of such a way to make money. I really admire them." Yun Chujo said with a smile. The saintess glared at her. Her own spiritual stones had been stolen. How could she admire a thief? Is there something wrong with their heads? "Mom, I'm joking with you. I kept them for a purpose. Think about it. The entrance of the tunnel is outside. When they come in with our reinforcements and come out from the garden, wouldn't it be undetectable? This is simply a great opportunity given to us by the heavens. I have already sent a voice transmission talisman to my uncle master. My uncle master will send someone to keep an eye on those two people. Moreover, there might be a lot of spirit stones in their house. Those are all from our house. I will get someone to get those spirit stones back. As for whether these two people should be killed or kept, let's see their performance." Yun Chujo blinked her eyes and said, "If it wasn't for the fact that the two of them were still useful, this guy would have killed them long ago. Damn it, he actually had designs on our house's spirit stones. He was simply courting death." Shang Envi finally came to a realization and couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Little Jo was really smart. She could think of many things in one matter. As a mother, she was really inferior to her. "Mother, now we're waiting for news from the Jean family. We'll have a conclusion in a few days. Whether the Jean family agrees to cooperate or not, we have to take action. If we drag this out, that old bastard Vice Palace Master Lu will definitely notice something is wrong. Mother will listen to you. What do you think we should do first?" Shang Envi had already regarded Yun Chujo as her backbone. "Mother, can you estimate how many people in the Saintly Virgin Palace are yours? How many people are in the Netherworld Palace? How many are neutral? Let's first estimate the situation between the enemy and ourselves before we discuss the specific actions." Just as the mother and daughter were discussing, Yun Chujo's voice transmission talisman started to vibrate. Yun Chujo thought it was Jin Ji, or the old man from the Heaven Lake. She didn't expect it to be Di Biming's voice transmission talisman. Di Biming only said one sentence, "Little Jo, I will arrive at the River of Forgetfulness City tomorrow." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujo could not help but stomp her feet. This pretty boy was really disobedient. Why did he come all of a sudden? However, this guy's heart was filled with sweetness. For a pretty boy to come here despite the danger, he must be worried about her safety. The saintess saw that Yun Chujo's expression was strange, so she asked Xiaojiu who sent the Shang Envi. What happened? Yun Chujo's thick-skinned face turned red for a rare moment. Your son-in-law is here. He will arrive at the River of Forgetfulness City tomorrow. This pretty boy is really disobedient. The saintess was stunned at first, then said coldly, "That's not bad. It would be a problem if he didn't come." The saintess paused for a moment and then said, "Shang Envi, although you two like each other, the name of this pretty boy is really unsightly. Don't call him that in the outside world in the future." Yun Chujo stuck out her tongue. "Mom, I know. Although your son-in-law's spiritual power is limited, it should still be quite powerful. We have a greater chance of winning." Sheng Envy nodded and became excited. After so many years of suffering, they finally saw the light of dawn. Yun Chujia's voice transmission talisman vibrated again. This time it was Jin Ji's voice transmission talisman. After Yun Chujio sent her spiritual sense into it, she could not help but be overjoyed. Mother, the Jin family has agreed to cooperate. The Saintess was also overjoyed. If that's the case, there's no time to lose. Let's start moving. Sheng Envy said when Yun Chujio and Jin Ji agreed to meet 3 days later. The Jin family's secret guard surrounded the Netherworld Palace. At the same time, the secret guards of the Temple of Immortals entered the Saintess Palace through a secret passage and cooperated with the Jin family. Mother, I have one more thing to do. The Saintess asked in confusion. What is it? Sheng Envy asked, I have been baiting for so many days. It is naturally time to reel in the net. Yun Chujia's eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness. The Saintess vaguely guessed that Yun Chujio was going to incite the secret guards to betray Sheng Envy, so she instructed, those secret guards are a mix of fish and dragons, you must be careful. Mother, don't worry. I'm the best at doing this kind of thing, I guarantee that nothing will go wrong. Yun Chujio said and jumped out of the main hall. Yun Chujio quickly found Yu Qi and the other 5. Do you have any dreams? Yu Qi and the other 5 were dumbfounded. What kind of dreams do we have? What kind of madness did Miss Chu Chu have today? Miss Chu Chu, we cultivators naturally want to have a higher level of spirit energy. Besides that, it's not bad to be promoted and get rich because with money we can better support our cultivation. Miss Chu Chu, hey, my dream is to marry a wife. It's a pity that I like her, but she doesn't like me. Who asked me to be a mere guard? Yun Chujio could not help but be secretly happy. This Yu Qi was the guard that worked with Zhou Han. It looked like he had a deep affection for a woman. The other Yu Yuan and Yu Li were Mo Wanwan and Lu Qin's guards. This was not bad. In the future they could pair up and work without tiring. Right now there's an opportunity in front of you. Not only will it let you rise in rank and make a fortune, but the person you miss will also come to your side. As for whether or not you can get him, that will depend on your own luck, Yun Chujio said mysteriously. Yu Qi and the other 2 immediately became excited. Miss Chu Chu, is what you said true? What opportunity? What do you need us to do? Yun Chujio could not help but curse in her heart. This beauty trap was really useful. It was even more useful than the bait she had used previously. She lowered her voice and said, the Saintess has already allied with several forces to kill Vice Palace Master Lu in one go. As long as you listen to my arrangements, I guarantee that the 5 of you will be at least the guardians of the Netherworld Hall in the future. Although Yu Qi and the others were very surprised, they already had a vague guess in their hearts, therefore, after a moment, they regained their composure. Miss Chu Chu, is what you said true? The Netherworld Hall and even the Netherworld continent are controlled by Vice Palace Master Lu. Will there really be a force to help the Saintess? Of course there are. There are many people like you who have a righteous heart. Yun Chujio started to get excited without a trace. Sure enough, after hearing Yun Chujio's words, Yu Qi and the other 3 were stunned. They subconsciously straightened their backs and said, Miss Chu Chu, this is a matter of losing one's head, so we still need to discuss it. But don't worry, we will definitely not leak the news. No problem, then you can discuss it. I will come back to look for you tomorrow. If you don't go all out, you will most likely be a secret guard for the rest of your lives. Moreover, Vice Palace Master Lu has vowed to attack the Tianyuan continent. If you are not careful, you might die on the battlefield. Whether you will live or die or get married and have children is up to you. After Yun Chujio said that, she left. She hopped away with a smile. Yu Qi and the others looked at Yun Chujio's back and felt extremely conflicted in their hearts. Should they give it their all or not? After being silent for a long while, Yu Qi gritted his teeth. Damn it, I've decided to work with Miss Chu Chu. At most I'll just die. It's still better than living such a cowardly life. Furthermore, I'll be able to see my Ying Xue. The other 4 almost vomited. Return your Ying Xue? She doesn't even know what you're thinking, alright? You're really overthinking things. However, they also felt that Yu Qi's words made sense. At worst, they would just die. Perhaps they could fight for a bright future. Moreover, this was to help the Saintess uphold justice. Even if they died, they would still have a good reputation. Therefore, when they saw Yun Chujio the next day, the five of them expressed their willingness to work with Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio said with a smile, "That's right. If it weren't for our good relationship, would such a good thing be your turn? You have also stayed in the Saintess Palace for a period of time. You should know more or less who is the direct descendant of Vice Palace Master Lu, and who is the fence-sitter that you can fight for, right? What you need to do now is to win over your best friends and get them to kill those direct descendants of yours when the day after tomorrow comes. As for the five of you, I will arrange an important task for you." Hearing Yun Chujio's words, Yu Qi and the other three immediately felt that they were highly valued. They were very excited. "Miss Chujio, don't worry. We will definitely do it beautifully. It's best to be safe. Other than your best friends, don't alert anyone else, understand?" Although Yun Chujio had also placed other bait, those people were not enough to be trusted. When the time came to fight, it would not be too late to fight. Yu Qi and the other three nodded in agreement. They were very excited. It was time to make a name for themselves. They never dreamed that there would be such a day. Even if they could not succeed in the end, it was not a wasted life. Yun Chujio went to the Shang-En-Vi again. "Mother, we are going to take action the day after tomorrow. Your direct descendants don't need to do anything else. They only need to protect you and father. Leave the rest to me. Keep these sudden rupture talismans. If there is a strong enemy, blow him up." The Shang-En-Vi looked at the big sacks on the ground and was a little confused. "Little Joe, why did you get a few sacks?" Yun Chujio giggled. After opening one of the sacks, she pointed inside and said, "Mother, these are sudden rupture talismans. You can keep them. They are all made by our family. They are not worth anything." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Shang-En-Vi thought that something was wrong with her ears. What do you think is in this?" Yun Chujio giggled and took out a huge stack of burst talismans from the sacks. "Burst talismans?" Shang-En-Vi took 2 steps forward and grabbed it. This huge stack was really a burst talisman. Moreover, it was a super-grade burst talisman. Shang-En-Vi felt that her brain was not enough. She stiffly looked into the sack and saw that it was filled with talismans. Shang-En-Vi casually grabbed a bunch and took a look. It was a super-grade burst talisman. He grabbed another bunch and it was a super-grade burst talisman. Little Joe, what you have here are all super-grade burst talismans?" Shang-En-Vi could not believe her eyes. "That's right. They are all in those sacks. I still have a few hundred sacks in my storage ring. When I first came here, I had already thought about it. If I really have no other choice, I will blow the Netherworld Palace to the ground," Yun Chujio said darkly. Shang-En-Vi stumbled and almost fell to the ground. A few hundred sacks of burst talismans? Or supreme-grade burst talismans? Oh God, was it because she was inexperienced, or was little Joe too perverted? Little Joe, where did you get so many transcendent-grade sudden rupture talismans? Did Di Baiming give them to you? I drew them for fun when I had nothing to do. I can draw other things, but this sudden rupture talisman is more convenient to use. Mother, you can play with these first. I'll give them to you when they're used up. There's plenty of this damn thing," Yun Chujio said smugly. Shang-En-Vi looked at the superior-grade burst talisman in the sack and felt that her worldview had been refreshed. When did the superior-grade burst talisman become a damn thing? Not to mention the superior-grade burst talisman, even ordinary burst talismans could not be bought with money. Shang-En-Vi took a long time to recover from her shock before putting the big sacks into her storage ring. Shang-En-Vi had intended to tell Yun Chujio to be careful, but when she thought of the hundreds of sacks that this little pervert had mentioned, she felt that it was better not to say anything. Even if she had to be careful, it should be others who should be careful. "Beautiful mother, remember to give my father 2 sacks so that they won't bully him. Just tell them that I gave them to him as a gift," Yun Chujio reminded Shang-En-Vi before they parted. Shang-En-Vi nodded and returned to the back hall to see Yun Zhongqing. "Husband, little Joe gave you some gifts." "Gifts? What gifts? The war is about to start, and this little girl still has the time to give me gifts?" Although Yun Zhongqing said this, he was looking forward to it. "Nothing, it's just some talismans." Shang-En-Vi decided to let him feel some shock. After drinking little Joe's medicine, his body was much better, and nothing would happen to him. Ah, so it's talismans. I heard from you that little Jiu is very talented in drawing talismans. What talismans did she give me? Yun Zhongqing didn't know that his wife had already been blackened by his mischievous daughter. Shang Envy calmly took out a stack of superior-grade burst talismans and handed it to Yun Zhongqing. Although Yun Zhongqing had been sick all these years, he had always been cultivating and reading books. His knowledge was no longer the same as before, therefore, he immediately recognized that this was a superior-grade burst talisman. This is a superior-grade burst talisman? There are 20 to 30 of them in this stack, right? Little Jiu drew them all by herself? Yun Zhongqing asked in surprise. The saintess nodded. And these 2 big sacks were also given to you by little Jiu. Xingyanvi said, what's in these sacks? Yun Zhongqing couldn't help but feel puzzled when he saw the sacks that the saintess threw on the ground. He had never heard of anyone giving gifts in sacks. Could it be that little Jiu gave me spirit rice and spirit noodles? Shang Envy revealed a bewitching smile. Husband, you'll know when you open it and take a look. Yun Zhongqing wasn't sure what Shang Envy was up to. He walked to a sack and opened it. He was dumbfounded. Yun Zhongqing rubbed his eyes and looked again. It was still full of super-grade burst talismans. Yun Zhongqing opened another sack, and it was still filled with transcendent-grade burst talismans. After a long while, Yun Zhongqing said, These are all given to me by little Jiu? Where did she buy so many transcendent-grade burst talismans? The saintess' eyes twitched. Your daughter said that they are her own property and not worth much. There are still several hundred sacks in her storage ring. Shang Envy said. Yun Zhongqing sat down on the ground and asked in disbelief, hundreds of sacks? Wanqing, you must be joking, right? Ever since the saintess told him about the Biyun and birth control incident, although she knew that Yun Chuzhou was just making things up, she still felt a little awkward. Therefore Yun Zhongqing changed his name to Shang Envy. Seeing that Yun Zhongqing was so shocked that he was sitting on the ground, Shang Envy felt a strange balance in her heart. It seemed that it was not that she was inexperienced, but that little Jiu was too abnormal. Your daughter also said that when she first came to the Netherworld continent, she had already planned it out. If she really had no other choice, she would use those hundreds of sacks of talismans to flatten the Netherworld palace. We are not raising a daughter, but a little monster. Yun Zhongqing couldn't help but laugh loudly. Who cares if she's a monster or something? In short, our little Jiu is very powerful. With a daughter like this, what more could a husband ask for? The husband and wife were both gratified, but they also felt very guilty. They felt that they had truly let down their daughter. Not only did they not raise her up, but they also made her put herself in danger to save them. Husband, I've already thought it through. Even if we really do have other children in the future, this Netherworld palace will be left to little Jiu to inherit. Firstly, it can be considered to make up for our debt. Secondly, little Jiu is also suitable to be the palace master of this Netherworld palace. She's much stronger than me as a mother. Yes, little Jiu is indeed resourceful. It's good to leave the Netherworld palace to her. This way we will have time to go out and take a walk. It's been hard on you all these years. Yun Chuzhou did not know that her parents had already prepared to put a small splint on her body. This fellow was currently chatting on the phone with Di Biming. He was talking about the voice transmission talisman porridge. Prince Charming, why are you here all of a sudden? Are you missing me so much that you can't eat and can't sleep at night? Yun Chuzhou asked shamelessly. Di Biming's deep voice came from the voice transmission talisman. In your head. It's always like this. Can't you say something sweet? Something about the moon representing my heart? Prince Charming, how much do you miss me? Little guy, let's see how you will respond this time. And Yun Chuzhou's little heart was beating wildly. What would the pretty boy say? Would he say that he really missed her? Or would he say that his heart was aching? Reality proved that she was thinking too much. Di Biming's answer was still very concise. Just like you said. Yun Chuzhou was so angry that she almost fainted. She picked up the voice transmission talisman and roared, Di Biming, if you don't say something nice to me today, my love boat with you will capsize. After a long while, the voice transmission talisman started to tremble again. Yun Chuzhou smiled smugly. Little girl, I can't cure you. Ching ching Zijin, you are so carefree in my heart. Even if you don't let me go, Zining won't say anything? Guan Guan Juju, in the state of the river. A graceful lady, a gentleman's dream. Jian Jiatsong white dew as frost. The so-called woman is in the side of the water. Yun Chujio was so angry that she almost jumped down from the bed. Pretty boy, you are really good. Not a word out, damn it. You changed the poetry contest for me. Seeing that Di Biming was still reciting poems, Yun Chujio shouted angrily, "Scram!" Then the whole world fell silent. Yun Chujio was so angry that she rolled on the bed. This unromantic gigolo. After she finished her business, she would see how she would deal with him. On the other side, Di Biming was holding a book of poetry in his left hand and a voice transmission talisman in his right hand. His face was stiff. He felt that he was also very innocent, okay? He spoke less, he despised it. He spoke more, he despised it. There was simply no way out. Just as Di Biming was stunned, and Feng's voice came from outside the door. "Your Excellency, I have something to report." Di Biming quickly put away the book of songs and the voice transmission talisman, then said with a dark face, "Come in." And Feng felt a low pressure as soon as he entered the room, and he had an ominous feeling in his heart. He decided to cut to the chase. "Your Excellency, I have checked the secret passage with the spies here, and I have sent people to guard the surroundings." Di Biming nodded. "We must guard it strictly, and we must not lose anything." "Yes, I will take my leave." And Feng heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, His Excellency was not mad. And Feng turned around and was about to leave when he heard Di Biming say, "Stop." And Feng grinned and turned around. "Your Excellency, what are your orders?" Di Biming gritted his teeth. "If a girl asks you to say something nice, what should you say?" And Feng knew that he could not avoid this, so he could only ask, "Your Excellency, did Ninth Miss ask you to say it? Then what did you say?" Di Biming's face stiffened, and he took out the book of songs. "I picked a few poems with good meanings and read them to little Nine. She was actually angry, it's really unreasonable." And Feng staggered and almost fell to the ground. "Your Excellency, if you want to show off your literary talent, it's fine if you read one poem, but you actually read several. Do you think you're participating in a poetry contest?" Just as Feng was thinking about it, he heard Di Biming shout unhappily, "Why aren't you speaking? Are you mute?" And Feng's heart was on the verge of collapse. The other party's secret guards were in charge of killing people and stealing goods, but this was great. He was practically omnipotent, and he even knew how to answer questions with emotions. "Your Excellency, the Ninth Miss only asked you to say some sweet words. I miss you very much, I love you, and I can't live without you. Your poem is too insincere." And Feng said after some consideration, "Humph. What I said is insincere." "What you said is insincere. I'm also confused. What do you know as a single person? Go down." Di Biming said with disdain. Tears streamed down Feng's face. "Your Excellency, is it really okay for you to discriminate against single people like this? When the matter here is over, the baby will also have to leave the single family. Leave the single family. Leave the single family. Say the important thing 3 times. After Di Biming chased Feng away, he decided to try according to what Feng said. If it didn't work, he would send Feng to the northernmost land to keep an eye on the land family. Achoo! Achoo! Feng, who had just walked out, sneezed a few times. He couldn't help but wonder who was scolding him. Could it be His Majesty? Di Biming took out his voice transmission talisman and hesitated for a moment. Then he gritted his teeth and said with a red face, "Little Joe, I miss you. I feel that without you, I have no meaning to live." After Di Biming finished speaking, he felt that his integrity had been abandoned by him. It was really too embarrassing. On the other side, Yun Chujio was so angry that she was tossing and turning on the bed like a little bastard. When she saw the voice transmission talisman tremble and sent her spiritual sense in, she heard Di Biming's deep voice. "Oh." Yun Chujio could not help but tremble when she heard Di Biming's mushy words. Oh my God, normally shouldn't such sweet words sound very sweet? Why did she feel so awkward when she heard the pretty boy's words? Yoon Chujio listened to it again and felt that her entire person was not good. Not only was there no sweetness in her heart, but she also felt strange. It was as if Di Biming had been possessed by someone. Ahem, my Prince Charming, it's better for you not to say these things in the future. I think it's better for you to remain as you are, Yoon Chujio said with a stiff face. On the other side, Di Biming felt as if his heart was going to explode. If I don't say it, you will just let me say it. If I say it, you will despise me. What exactly are you trying to do? Yoon Chujio also knew that there was a limit to being a demon, so she quickly added, my Prince Charming, from now on, let me be the one to say these sweet words. You just need to be responsible for your actions. I miss you so much. Come give me a kiss. After hearing Yoon Chujio's words, Di Biming's disappointment was instantly swept away. The pink bubbles in his heart kept popping up, and he wished that he could immediately meet his sweetheart and have a good time. The two of them chatted for a while more, until Yoon Chujio said that she was tired. Then they each put away their voice transmission talismans. In the blink of an eye, it was the night of the appointment. Yuchi and the other 5 people were not on duty today, so they deliberately switched shifts with someone else. Moreover, the dark guards patrolling today were all Yuchi and the others' best friends, so Yoon Chujio arrived at the back garden without any obstruction. Yuchi and the other 3 were very puzzled. It was already midnight, so what was Miss Chu doing in the back garden? Did she have to admire the flowers before the battle? What the hell was wrong with her? Yoon Chujio pointed at the pavilion with the secret passage and said, Yuchi and I will go to that pavilion. The 4 of you are responsible for guarding and don't let anyone get close. Although the 5 of them did not understand, they still nodded in agreement. Since they had already boarded the pirate ship, they could only listen to the little pervert. Yoon Chujio brought Yuchi into the pavilion. Yoon Chujio sat calmly on the stone bench and even took out a plate of pastries. It's still early. Eat some. Yuchi was dumbfounded. Are you crazy? At this time you still want to eat? Yoon Chujio did not bother with him. She ate very sweetly. She had to work hard later. How could she not be full? Finally, the sound of knocking came from under the stone table. Yuchi was shocked. Just as he was about to speak, Yoon Chujio made a gesture of silence. Help me move this stone table away. Although Yuchi was confused, he did not dare to delay. He quickly moved the stone table away with Yoon Chujio. Then he saw a person jump up from inside. That person wore a black mask. Although his face could not be seen clearly, the imposing manner of the superior almost made Yuchi kneel on the ground. When Yoon Chujio saw the person, she immediately threw herself into his arms. Prince Charming, you're finally here. Yuchi was even more confused. What the hell was a Prince Charming? Could it be an emissary from the Netherworld spirit sect? Why did the emissary appear from underground? Yuchi felt that his brain was not enough. What he saw next was even more confusing. He saw people jumping up from below. 1 2 10 50. Yuchi only had one thought in his mind. Oh God, Miss Chu actually dug a secret tunnel. How did she do it? In the end, there were 300 to 400 people who came up through the tunnel. Although their spiritual power was not particularly high, the murderous aura from their bodies made people feel a chill down their spine. Yuchi was initially a little worried that the operation this time would not succeed. Now that he saw these people, especially that man, he instantly felt more confident. It would definitely succeed. Seeing that no one else was coming up, Yoon Chujio ordered 2 secret guards to carry the stone table back into the distance. Prince Charming, there are still people down there, right? If the situation is not good, we at least have a way out. Don't worry. Not only are there people down there, I have also arranged people at the entrance of the cave. There's no chance of failure, Di Biming said in a deep voice. The secret guards of the Temple of Immortals were initially puzzled. It was strange. Why was our lord so close to this woman from the Netherworld Palace? However, when they heard Yoon Chujio call him Prince Charming, they had an epiphany. It turned out that the 9th Miss had disguised herself. TSK, the 9th Miss was really not human. She had actually mixed herself into the Netherworld Palace. Moreover, it seemed that she was doing quite well. Otherwise, there would not have been guards following her. This secret passage might have been discovered by the ninth miss. How amazing! Yun Chujo looked at the time. There was still an hour before midnight. Yu Chi, bring us to the dormitory of the secret guards. Yes. Everyone quickly arrived at the dormitory area of the secret guards. After surrounding the dormitory area, Yun Chujo gave Yu Chi a look. Yu Chi said, brothers, come out for a while. Something good has happened. Yu Kai's voice was not loud, but it was late at night. In addition, these secret guards were very alert. Lights quickly lit up in the room, and one after another, secret guards came out. When the secret guards saw the situation outside, they could not help but be a little confused. Yu Chi, what does this mean? Didn't you say that something good has happened? Miss Chujo, are you here too? Yun Chujo nodded, seeing that everyone had arrived. Then she coughed lightly and said, everyone, we are all old acquaintances. I won't beat around the bush anymore. All these years, Vice Palace Master Lu had gone against Shang Envy's wishes. Not only did he imprison the Saintess, but he had also repeatedly invaded the Tianyuan continent, disregarding everyone's life and death. The Saintess could not stand it anymore and decided to join forces with a few major forces to eradicate Vice Palace Master Lu. This malignant tumor. Tonight was the day of the operation. The people you saw were only a part of the forces. There were even more people waiting outside. When the time came, we would work together from the inside and the outside. We would definitely be able to capture Vice Palace Master Lu and his best friends in one fell swoop. Originally, you could be considered as Vice Palace Master Liu's henchman. However, after interacting with each other these past few days, I felt that all of you were forced. Therefore, I pleaded with the Holy Maiden. As long as you submit to the Holy Maiden now, let bygones be bygones. Moreover, all of you will be the backbone of the Netherworld Hall in the future. Your future will be bright. Where do you want to go? Just state your stance. Yun Chujo had used all her threats and enticements. Those people had already been mostly instigated by Yun Chujo. Now that they saw the situation, most of them expressed their willingness to submit. A few of the secret guards took out their voice transmission talismans and were about to send a message, but they were immediately killed by Enfeng and his men. Damn it, this baby is taking it out on you. Seeing this, the secret guards of the Netherworld Hall became even more afraid to resist. Yun Chujo saw that the situation was going smoothly. She sent a voice transmission talisman to Jinji. Beauty Jinji, I have already taken down the Saintly Virgin Palace. In an hour, when I cause a ruckus inside, you can take the opportunity to launch a general attack. Jinji was anxiously waiting for news outside the Netherworld Palace. After receiving Yun Chujia's voice transmission talisman, she immediately told her father, the head of the Jin family, Jin Mantang. Jin Mantang was so excited that he was slightly trembling. The future of the Jin family was all placed on tonight. However, Lin Chuchu had taken down the Saintly Virgin Palace so quickly, which meant that she still had some ability. She would definitely win tonight. After Yun Chujo sent a voice transmission talisman to Jinji, she led everyone to the exit of the Saintly Virgin Palace. The Saintly Virgin Palace and Yun Zhongqing were waiting there with their men. Yun Chujo could sense that Di Biming, who was beside her, was tensed up. He was walking stiffly. This fellow could not help but feel happy in his heart. Was the gigolo nervous because he wanted to meet his mother-in-law? Di Biming was very nervous. Although he tried his best to calm down, he was still a little stiff. He walked to the Saintess and Yun Zhongqing and bowed. Sheng Envi Sheng. Although the Saintess and Yun Zhongqing wanted to interrogate Sheng Envi, but the time and place were not allowed, so they just nodded and greeted Sheng Envi. Yun Chujo snickered and then said to the Saintess, "We will act according to the original plan and catch them off guard." The Saintess nodded and said to the people behind her, "From now on, you will listen to Shang Envy's arrangements. Yes, catch the leader first. After we rush out, we will go straight to Vice Palace Master Liu's courtyard." Yun Chujo stopped laughing and her aura suddenly changed. Whether it was the Saintess, Yun Zhongqing, or the secret guards, they were all shocked. In their impression, Yun Chujo was a cheerful little monster. They didn't expect that once she became serious, She would actually become so imposing. Shang Envy, she was even more imposing than the Saintess. The crowd was stunned by Yun Chujia's imposing aura. They held their breaths and focused their attention as they followed Yun Chujio to rush out. The entrance of the saintly Virgin Palace to the Hall of the Netherworld was guarded by a team of guards. As it had been safe and sound for so many years, they were very lazy. Only 2 people were left to watch the night while the rest went to find a place to sleep. Therefore, Yun Chujio and the others killed the 2 guards silently, and then headed straight for Vice Palace Master Liu's courtyard. The palace master had a special sleeping palace. Vice Palace Master Liu might be guilty, or he might not have a proper name. Therefore, he did not stay in the sleeping palace. Instead, he chose a large courtyard and stayed there after renovating it. When Yun Chujio and the others arrived at Vice Palace Master Liu's courtyard, the guards who were guarding the courtyard realized that something bad had happened. They issued a sharp warning and the guards from all over rushed over. Vice Palace Master Liu also jumped out of the house when he heard the noise. When he saw the Saintess who was standing at the front, he understood a little. However, when he saw Yun Chujio, he was so angry that he was trembling. This Lin Chuchu was actually an ingrate. Lin Chuchu, I treated you well. You actually helped the Saintess to deal with me? Shang Envy asked Vice Palace Master Liu. This matter is not my fault. A kind person like me naturally can't stand to see you bullying the Saintess. The Saintess is the true master of this netherworld palace. You are just a scoundrel who has taken over the nest of the magpie. Now the master doesn't want to indulge you. Are you going to surrender obediently, or let me kill you? Yun Chujio crossed her arms, shaking his toes. He said arrogantly. Humph! With just a few of you. Since you're courting death, I don't have to worry about anything. Go. Vice Palace Master Liu saw that Yun Chujio and the others only had a few hundred people, so he did not care at all. Di Baiming took the lead and rushed toward Vice Palace Master Liu. He would not admit that he wanted to show off in front of his future parents-in-law. Vice Palace Master Liu saw Di Baiming rushing over, and could not help but feel a little suspicious. Who was this person? Although his spiritual power seemed to be around the 5th level of the Supreme Spirit Realm, his aura was really overbearing. Where did that slut Dongfang Wanqing find a helper? Who are you? What benefits did Dongfang Wanqing promise you? As long as you surrender obediently, I will let bygones be bygones. Vice Palace Master Liu saw Di Baiming's imposing aura and wanted to persuade him to surrender. Di Baiming did not reply. He thought to himself, the Saintess has given me a good wife, do you have one? Vice Palace Master Liu saw that Di Baiming did not speak and thought that he was wavering. He then said, there are only a few hundred of you. My netherworld hall has thousands of secret guards. You have no chance of winning. If you know what's good for you, quickly surrender. Before Vice Palace Master Liu could finish his sentence, the sound of fighting could be heard from outside the Netherworld Palace. Dharma Protector Zhao's voice came from Vice Palace Master Liu's voice transmission talisman. Palace Master. We are surrounded by the Jin family's guards. The Jin family has rebelled. Vice Palace Master Liu's head buzzed. Before he could reply, Di Baiming had already launched a spiritual power attack at him. A huge ice dragon pounced on him. Vice Palace Master Liu hurriedly dodged. Di Baiming and Vice Palace Master Liu were entangled in a fight. Although Di Baiming's spiritual power was limited in the Netherworld continent, his cultivation base at the 5th level of the Supreme Being realm was not low. Vice Palace Master Liu could not gain any advantage for the time being. Dongfang Wanqing, you bitch. You actually colluded with the Jin family. Vice Palace Master Liu cursed as he fought with Di Baiming. Yo, Vice Palace Master Liu, you have wronged the Shang Envy. And the Jin family hookup is not Shang Envy but me. Do you remember Jin Ji? I don't know her, we're best friends. It's all thanks to you. If it weren't for your selection of Shang Envy's successor, I wouldn't have known Jin Ji. It's all your doing. Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth, she said smugly. Vice Palace Master Liu was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Lin Chujio. You swore a poison oath in front of me. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning? Yun Chujio pointed at the sky with a smile. The heavens have eyes. Even if they were to strike you, they would still strike you, a heartless bastard. After Yun Chujo was done being angry, Vice Palace Master Lu turned to the guards and said, "All of you listen to me. You are now trapped inside and outside. Those people at the border have also been trapped by the people of the Tianyuan continent. If you want to live, surrender obediently. Moreover, the Saintess is the master acknowledged by the spirit of the netherworld. If you don't want to be punished by the spirit of the netherworld, then surrender obediently. I guarantee that we won't let bygones be bygones." Other than a portion of Vice Palace Master Liu's direct descendants, the attitude of the rest of the guards was somewhat relaxed. They were just trying to make a living. It was the same for everyone. Seeing that Vice Palace Master Liu's side was at a disadvantage. Naturally, when the tree fell, the monkeys would scatter. Vice Palace Master Lu was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He wanted to stop Yun Chujo from continuing to incite his subordinates. However, Beiming was very difficult to deal with and there was no way he could get rid of him. Who was this person? Why was this ice dragon so difficult to deal with? Wait, ice dragon? Could it be Beiming? How is this possible? Vice Palace Master Lu looked at the secret guards again. The aura on their bodies was extremely similar to that of the secret guards of the Hall of Immortals. Furthermore, there were not many of Dongfang Wonking's direct descendants. These people must be from the Hall of Immortals. Beiming. How dare you collude with Dongfang Wanqing to subvert our netherworld palace? Everyone watch carefully. This person is Beiming from the Hall of Immortals of the Tianyuan continent. Those people are all secret guards of the Hall of Immortals. Don't be deceived by him. Dongfang Wanqing actually colluded with the Hall of Immortals to deal with our own people. This slut's crime cannot be pardoned. Vice Palace Master Lu shouted loudly. There was a hint of excitement in his voice. With this flaw, those secret guards would definitely switch sides. As expected, when those secret guards heard Vice Palace Master Liu's words, they immediately became restless. After all, no matter what Vice Palace Master Lu did, this was still an internal matter of the netherworld continent. If the Temple of Immortals were to intervene, what would happen? When Vice Palace Master Lu saw this, he was stunned. He could not help but be overjoyed. Everyone, now is the time for us to unite against the outside world. The Saintess has colluded with the Temple of Immortals. She is not worthy to be the Saintess of our Temple of Immortals. Hurry up and take them down with me. Sheng Envy said this chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The Saintess and Yun Zhongqing were a little nervous. Sheng Envy, if they had known this would happen, they wouldn't have let Beiming make a move. What would they do if they were exposed? Beiming's heart was like a beeping dog. He had wanted to show off in front of his future parents-in-law, but now it had backfired. If this matter was messed up, my daughter-in-law would be ruined. Damn it, it's all this Vice Palace Master Liu's fault. I'll kill you. Beiming stepped up his attack, but his spiritual power was limited. In addition, Vice Palace Master Lu had used the power of the netherworld, so there was no way to kill him. Yu Qi and the others felt even more complicated. They naturally wanted to kill Vice Palace Master Lu, but the Saintess actually colluded with the people of the Temple of Immortals. This was really unacceptable. At this moment, Yun Chujo laughed crisply. Everyone looked at her in confusion. They thought to themselves, could it be that Lin Chujo had suffered too much and had gone mad? But that was also true. She had originally thought that it was Kuang Fu Zhangyi, but she did not expect that the Saintess had found a helper from the Temple of Immortals. It would be strange if she did not fall apart. After Yun Chujo laughed, she said crisply, Vice Palace Master Lu, that old bastard is right. That handsome man is the overlord of the Temple of Immortals, Beiming. Everyone smacked their lips. Yun Chujo felt that something was not right. Why were these words used in a positive way? What did using a positive word for an enemy mean? I, on the other hand, am the peerlessly beautiful and devastatingly beautiful little ninth fairy, Yun Chujo. Boom! Yun Chujia's words were obviously more lethal than the previous one. Even Vice Palace Master Lu was stunned. If he did not have a defensive spirit tool on him, He would have been injured by debeaming. What did you say? You are Yun Chujio? That's impossible. Vice Palace Master Lu suddenly jumped out of the battle. His direct descendant stepped forward to block debeaming. Debeaming had no choice but to stop and return to Yun Chujio's side. Aya, old bastard, besides me, Yun Chujio, who else has the ability to play you like this? How is it? I, the successor of Shang Envy, have been promoted step by step by you. I really owe you a thank you. Yun Chujio said arrogantly. Vice Palace Master Lu was so angry that he was trembling. He thought for a while and then laughed wildly. Yun Chujio, you are really smart and muddle-headed. Do you think that your scheme has succeeded? Ha ha ha. You and debeaming are walking into a trap. Everyone, these two are our #1 enemies. As long as we kill them, we will be able to conquer the Tianyuan continent in no time. Why aren't you making a move? Shang Envy and Yun Zhongqing were so anxious that their foreheads were covered in cold sweat. Why did the situation turn from good to bad? Little Joe, what are you playing at? Just as everyone was in a commotion, Yun Chujio laughed again. Everyone really did not understand her. What was she laughing at? Was she crazy? Everyone, why do you think our esteemed self and I came all the way here to the netherworld? Don't we know that our spiritual power will be suppressed here? Don't we know that coming here is equivalent to entering a dragon's den and a tiger's den? Yun Chujio asked everyone with a smile. Those people thought about it and agreed. Unless debeaming and Yun Chujio had a brain, they would not come all the way here. This was something that would not benefit them at all. Once they were seen through, they would definitely die. Then what was the reason? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio smiled faintly. The reason why we risked our lives to come to the netherworld is because of 2 words: filial piety and kindness. Vice Palace Master Lu snorted coldly. Filial piety and kindness? Don't be a hypocrite. You just want to take over the netherworld continent. Taking over the netherworld palace is just the first step. You first sent people to provoke us at the border and attracted our attention. Then, you sneaked into the netherworld continent. Once you succeed, you will use the netherworld palace as your base and control the entire netherworld continent. What a good plan. Yun Chujio glanced at him. Sigh, some people see what they see in their hearts. For example, what I see is a fresh flower, but what he sees is a poisonous plant. Everyone, believe me when I say that Vice Palace Master Lu, that old bastard, has done things that you all know very well. Let me talk about filial piety first. Filial piety is the most important thing. Why did the Saintess leave the good Saintess behind and choose to run away instead? That was because the old palace master was killed by Vice Palace Master Lu, that ambitious man. How could the Saintess marry the person who killed her father? So she had to go far away. Needless to say, the Saintess had suffered along the way. Shang Envy could imagine the situation of a weak woman being chased by a heavy army. The Saintess had no other choice but to enter the Qingxian continent by mistake. After being besieged by the demonic beasts, not only was she severely injured, but she also lost her memory. It was the man beside her who saved her and gave her a brand new life. After the 2 of them got married, a group of people picked up an abandoned baby during a training trip. They regarded her as their own child. Although the face of the abandoned baby was dark and could not cultivate, they did not mind at all. They devoted all their efforts to raise the abandoned baby. Later, in order to regain her memory, the Saintess and her husband came to the border between the Qingxian continent and the netherworld continent again. They did not expect to be caught by Vice Palace Master Liu's men. Vice Palace Master Lu used the power of the netherworld to injure the man. Using the antidote to force Shang Envy had no choice but to become a puppet against her will. After the abandoned baby that Shang Envy picked up grew up, she accidentally found out about the whereabouts of her adoptive parents. Hence, she disregarded her own safety and sneaked into the netherworld continent. She became the successor of Shang Envy. After the mother and daughter acknowledged each other. In order to help her adoptive mother take revenge, her adoptive daughter found her fiancé to help her. What was wrong with that? That's right. I Yun Chujio am that abandoned baby. I am the saintess' adoptive daughter. If there is no saintess, then there is no me Yun Chujio. If there is no my adoptive parents, then I will lose my life in the wilderness. So, do you think I shouldn't come? Sheng Envy asked. Do you think this is the dirty deal that Vice Palace Master Lu is talking about? At this moment, the saintess' face was already covered in tears. The veil on her face was soaked with tears. Everyone present was silent. Most of them were orphans without parents, and their desire for their parents' affection was even greater than that of ordinary people. Some people's eyes were already red. That's right. In order to give their adoptive parents a second chance at life, they had gone deep into a dangerous place. What was wrong with that? Vice Palace Master Lu saw that the situation was not good. He shouted loudly, What a nice way of saying it. If it was anyone else it would have been fine, but Di Biming was the supreme emperor of the Tianyuan continent's Hall of Longevity. He might have used this opportunity to seize the Netherworld continent. Don't be deceived by them. After hearing Vice Palace Master Liu's words, the sympathy in everyone's hearts was diluted a little. That's right, could it be that in the name of rescuing their adoptive parents, they were actually invading our Netherworld continent? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. I've said before that the reason why I came to the Netherworld continent is because of two words: filial piety and kindness. I've said filial piety just now, now let's talk about this kindness. Yun Chujio paused for a moment when she said this. She saw that everyone was listening to her. Then she continued, back then my adoptive parents adopted me. This is kindness. They didn't abandon me because I was ugly and couldn't cultivate. This is also kindness. I came to rescue my adoptive parents in order to repay their kindness in raising me. This is still kindness. However, these were all small kindness. The reason why my esteemed self and I risked our lives to come to the Netherworld continent was for the greater good. All these years, Vice Palace Master Lu had continuously invaded the Tianyuan continent for his own selfish desires. Every action he took would result in huge casualties. The casualties were not only from the Tianyuan continent but also from your Netherworld continent. This was simply a tragedy in the human world. Why must he invade the Tianyuan continent? Don't tell me that you can't live on in the Netherworld continent? No, this is entirely out of Vice Palace Master Liu's ambition. And countless innocent people have become the victims of his unbounded selfish desires. My esteemed self and I have tried our best to prevent this tragedy in the human world from happening, but Vice Palace Master Lu has ignored our warnings and launched an invasion again and again. This time we happened to learn about my foster mother's matter, so my esteemed self and I decided to use this opportunity to get rid of Vice Palace Master Lu, this malignant tumor. Only by getting rid of him will our Tianyuan continent and the Netherworld continent coexist peacefully. You can sell the Netherworld continent's specialties to the Tianyuan continent, and the people of the Tianyuan continent can also come over to do business. Why not? Why must we act like enemies? To take a step back, the people of the Tianyuan continent's spiritual power in the Netherworld continent will be suppressed. We are not people who have nothing better to do, and we are risking our cultivation base to stay here for a long time. Therefore, you can rest assured that I have no interest in the Netherworld continent or the Netherworld palace. Once I help the Saintess get rid of Vice Palace Master Lu, we will immediately leave. If you don't believe me, I can swear to the heavens. I, Yun Chujio, hereby swear that if I have any evil intentions towards the Netherworld continent, I will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Everyone was shocked by Yun Chujio's reasonable words. They had long been dissatisfied with Vice Palace Master Liu's repeated invasions. Every time he took action, many of their brothers would die. What was he trying to achieve? Yun Chujio was right. The Netherworld continent did not lack anything. Why did they have to find trouble to attack the Tianyuan continent? Furthermore, Yun Chujio had already made a poison vow. It was impossible for her to have any thoughts towards the Netherworld continent. Since that was the case, the collusion that Vice Palace Master Lu said was not valid at all. Vice Palace Master Lu saw that the situation was not good and shouted loudly, "Don't listen to her nonsense. What do you mean by great kindness but small kindness? As long as we conquer the Tianyuan continent, all the spirit stones there will be ours. Yun Chujo sneered. Did you hear that? He was just doing it for his own selfish desires. Do you think that even if we can conquer the Tianyuan continent, those spirit stones will still be yours? Moreover, how many of you will be able to live until the end? You will only become stepping stones. What are you still standing there for? Why aren't you quickly getting rid of this malignant tumor? If you want to live a peaceful life, if you want to cultivate the great Tao, kill this old bastard. As long as you kill him, your wife and children's wish to have a warm bed will come true. Otherwise, you'll be single for the rest of your lives. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujia's words were much more provocative than Vice Palace Master Liu's. Moreover, these guards of the Netherworld Palace had long been dissatisfied with Vice Palace Master Liu. Yu Qi and the others took the lead and immediately charged towards Vice Palace Master Liu. Other than a portion of Vice Palace Master Liu's direct line of descent, the rest of the secret guards all defected and charged towards Vice Palace Master Liu. Vice Palace Master Liu roared, "Have you all gone mad? You're all rebelling. Hurry up and stop. Otherwise, you'll die without a complete corpse." Yun Chujo placed her hands on her waist and stretched her neck as she shouted, "For the sake of my wife and children, heat up the bed. Kill that old bastard." One was threatening while the other was enticing. Obviously, the effect of the enticement was better. Moreover, everyone had a certain hero complex in their hearts. Killing Vice Palace Master Liu would be helping justice, but killing the Saintess would be rebelling. Naturally, they would choose to kill Vice Palace Master Liu. The Saintess and Yun Zhongqing stood behind the crowd and stared blankly at this strange scene. Didn't they say that there was a huge difference in strength between the enemy and themselves? Why did Little Nine say a few words? And now there were only 200 to 300 people left by Vice Palace Master Liu's side. The remaining few thousand people had defected just like that? Not only that, the guards surrounded and attacked Vice Palace Master Liu and his direct line of descent. At the same time, they took the time to use their identity jade tokens to send a message to the guards who were on good terms with them. "Well, we have all surrendered for the sake of our wives and children. You guys should stop blocking the Jin family's people. Let's bring justice together." Word spread like wildfire. The guards who were guarding the city no longer had any desire to continue fighting. Some of them simply opened the gates of the Netherworld Palace and the Jin family's people rushed in. Jean Mantang, the head of the Jin family, could not help but wonder why these people of the Netherworld Palace had surrendered before they had even started fighting. However, it was not the time to think about such things. He led the group and rushed in. Soon the Jin family, Yun Chujo and the others gathered together and surrounded Vice Palace Master Liu and his direct disciples. Vice Palace Master Liu and the others were still fighting like cornered beasts. However, Vice Palace Master Liu knew that the situation was over, so he had to escape first. He had to find a way to contact the guards at the border, and there was still a chance for him to make a comeback. Vice Palace Master Liu gritted his teeth. Under the protection of his direct descendants, he bit his index finger again. Before he could chant, he heard a shout, "Old bastard, do you think you can escape? Don't even think about it. Everyone attack together, don't give him the chance to chant." At the same time that Yun Chujo said that, the 8 immortal swords stabbed at Vice Palace Master Liu. The Saintess and the others also attacked Vice Palace Master Liu with their spiritual power. Vice Palace Master Liu was too tired to resist, so he didn't have the chance to use the secret technique. Vice Palace Master Liu's intestines turned green with regret. If he had known earlier, he would have used the secret technique to escape. Now, he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. An hour later, all of Vice Palace Master Liu's direct descendants were killed. Vice Palace Master Liu's spiritual power was also restrained by Beiming and the others. Sheng Envi's side won a great victory. Yun Chujo did not hide anything and directly interrogated Vice Palace Master Liu in front of everyone. "Vice Palace Master Liu, tell me, why did you want to harm my grandfather?" Yun Chujo held the kitchen knife and rubbed it against Vice Palace Master Liu's neck. Since that old man is still alive, I can only submit to others. Those who block my path will naturally die. Vice Palace Master Lu knew that it would not be good if he fell into Yunchujia's hands, so there was nothing to hide. When the Saintess heard Vice Palace Master Liu's words, she was so angry that she was trembling. Sheng'envi, my father treated you well, but I didn't expect you to be an ingrate. You will die a horrible death. Vice Palace Master Lu sneered indifferently. Since I have already fallen into your hands, there's nothing to say. If you want to kill me or flay me, do it. Seeing that Vice Palace Master Lu was not afraid of boiling water, the Saintess was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She pulled out her sword and was about to kill him when Yun Chuzhou waved her hand at the Saintess. Sheng'envi, Vice Palace Master Lu, you will definitely die. However, shouldn't you explain your relationship with the Divine Devil Hall? Yun Chuzhou stared into Vice Palace Master Liu's eyes. Vice Palace Master Liu's pupils constricted, but he quickly returned to normal. What did you say? I don't understand. Yun Chuzhou had a certain answer in her heart. It's useless even if you deny it. Your subordinate, Protector Sun, once used the Divine Devil Hall's secret technique to escape. He is one of your people, so you must be in contact with the Divine Devil Hall. Thinking back to the time when you killed my grandfather, you were so anxious to invade the Tianyuan continent. I'm afraid it was to find the Eye of Earth Profound. The reason why you didn't kill the Saintess was also to obtain the clues of the Eye of Earth Profound after obtaining the Netherworld Divine Hall. Am I right or wrong? Vice Palace Master Lu looked at Yun Chuzhou in disbelief. You, how do you know? You are not human. You are not human. According to common sense, Vice Palace Master Lu would not have done such a stupid thing, but he was really too surprised. How did Yun Chuzhou find out about such a secret? Not only do I know this, I also know that Protector Sun had already run away when he saw that the situation was bad. Lu Huanhua, oh Lu Huanhua, why did you say that you were busy with this? If you had not been obsessed with me back then, after you married my beautiful mother, wouldn't the Netherworld Palace have been yours sooner or later? You have been tormenting yourself all these years, but your spiritual power has not increased much, right? The Divine Devil Hall has a pill that can increase spiritual power rapidly. Did they not give it to you? This means that they did not treat you as one of their own at all. They just used you as a knife. Do you really think that you can ascend just because you found the Eye of Earth Profound? In your dreams. I'm afraid that Protector Sun's level in the Divine Devil Hall is higher than yours. Otherwise, why would he know the secret techniques of the Divine Devil Hall? You have been treated as a target for arrows, but their true confidants are safe and sound. Don't you think you are extremely stupid? Most of Yun Chujia's words were nonsense. This was because people like Vice Palace Master Lu would not be swayed by force or persuasion. It was useless to extort a confession by torture. Yun Chuzhou had also thought of performing a soul search, but she was worried that Vice Palace Master Lu had been imprinted with the soul imprint. Even if she performed a soul search, she would not be able to find anything. Therefore, she could only get some information out of him if her psychological defense line collapsed. When Vice Palace Master Lu heard Yun Chujia's words, his eyes turned red and he roared, "You're talking nonsense. You're talking nonsense. My lord would not lie to me. As long as I find the Eye of Earth Profound in the Tianyuan continent and the Netherworld continent, I will ascend and my lifespan will be as long as the heavens. Whether I am speaking nonsense or not, you know very well in your heart that you are just a chess piece. No, you are just a pawn," Yun Chuzhou said with a sneer. Vice Palace Master Lu shook his head desperately. "You are lying to me. You are speaking nonsense. It will not happen. It will not happen." "Humph. If your lord really takes you seriously, why didn't he come to save you? According to what I know, your lord has the ability to tear through the void. So why did he let you become a prisoner?" Yun Chuzhou said coldly. "You're talking nonsense. You're talking nonsense." Vice Palace Master Lu didn't know how to refute other than this sentence, because even though he didn't want to believe it, he knew in his heart that what Yun Chuzhou said was true. He really became an abandoned child who was fooled by others. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, Please visit for more content. As he spoke, Vice Palace Master Lu burst out laughing like a madman. He laughed with tears in his eyes. It's such a pity that I, Lu Huanhua, have been clever all my life, but in the end I was taken advantage of by others as a fool. If it weren't for my obsession, I would have a beautiful wife by my side now, and my spiritual power wouldn't have stagnated. This is karma, the retribution of greed. Yun Chuzhou waited until he was almost done venting before she said, Vice Palace Master Lu, are you willing to be fooled just like that? Tell me what you know, and I'll leave your corpse intact and bury you properly. Vice Palace Master Lu laughed self-deprecatingly. You little girl. You're really good at scheming people's hearts. However, I'm really not willing. I want those people who fooled me to pay the price. I'll tell you everything I know. 17 years ago, a person wearing a purple mask suddenly appeared in my courtyard. At that time I was very surprised. The Netherworld Palace was heavily guarded. How did he enter? I immediately wanted to restrain him. I didn't expect that in just 5 exchanges I would be restrained by him. That person sneered and said, When will you be able to ascend with your mediocre martial arts? At that time I was extremely shocked. Although my spiritual power was at the 3rd level of the Supreme Spirit Realm at that time, it was still not bad. In front of that person I was actually unable to withstand a single blow. From this, it could be seen that that person's spiritual power was extremely high. I thought that person would kill me. Unexpectedly, after he released me, he told me that there was a great opportunity in front of me. If I could grasp it, not only would I be able to control the entire Netherworld Palace, I would also be able to ascend in the near future. At that time, I was blinded by greed and immediately agreed. He helped me poison the old Hall Master and was prepared to let me take his place. After I took control of the Netherworld Hall, I would help him find the Eye of Earth profound in the Tianyuan continent and the Netherworld continent. I followed that person's plan and killed the old Hall Master. Everything went smoothly, but I didn't expect that Shang Envi would escape after discovering the flaw. Perhaps this is the will of heaven. This is the punishment of the Netherworld spirit. Yun Chuzhou curled her lips and asked, How often does the purple-masked man contact you? When was the last time he contacted you? What about that protector son? Do you know that he is also a member of the Divine Devil Hall? The purple-masked man rarely contacts me. The last time was more than a year ago. He urged me to find the Eye of Earth profound as soon as possible and gave me a lot of Netherworld elixir. As for that damned Sun Qingzhen, I had no idea that he was also a member of the God-Fiend Temple. It was probably the purple-masked man who was spying on me. No wonder the purple-masked man rarely saw me, so my every move was reported to him. Vice Palace Master Lu could not help but laugh bitterly at himself. Yun Chuzhou asked Vice Palace Master Lu who else was in his direct line of descent, but Vice Palace Master Lu refused to say no matter what. Yun Chuzhou gave Di Baiming a look. Di Baiming nodded and immediately began to search Vice Palace Master Liu's soul. As Yun Chuzhou expected, Di Baiming's soul search was only halfway through. Vice Palace Master Lu bled to death from all 7 orifices. Yun Chuzhou pulled Vice Palace Master Liu's storage ring down, thinking that there would be something inside. Unfortunately, other than a jade token engraved with the resurrection lily, there were no other valuable clues. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. They had all heard Vice Palace Master Liu's words. Although they were confused, they still understood the general meaning. Vice Palace Master Lu had been used by some Divine Devil Hall. Not only had he killed the old Palace Master, but he also had to find the Eye of Earth profound in the Tianyuan continent and the Netherworld continent. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chuzhou held the jade medallion in her hand and said to everyone, I'm sure you've all heard that the Divine Devil Hall mentioned by Vice Palace Master Lu has very sinister intentions. Once they find the Eye of Earth profound, the spiritual energy of the Tianyuan continent and the Netherworld continent will be depleted, and we will become ordinary people who are unable to cultivate. It's a good thing that all of you are wise enough to work together to kill Vice Palace Master Lu. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yun Chujo did not show off that she had made a great contribution. Instead, she put the credit on the Jin family and the members of the Netherworld Hall. Jean Mantang and the others were naturally very satisfied. It seemed that Yun Chujo really had no designs on our Netherworld continent. They did not know that Yun Chujo was actually thinking in her heart, a bunch of idiots. Your Shang and V is my mother, isn't hers mine? Jean Mantang had just heard that the Lin Chuchu that his daughter mentioned was actually Yun Chujo from the Tianyuan continent, and the young man beside her was actually Di Biming from the Temple of Immortals. He had yet to recover from this truth. When he heard Vice Palace Master Liu's words again, he was extremely shocked. Jean Mantang recovered from his shock and asked, Miss Yun, it was all thanks to you and your excellency that we managed to resolve this disaster. I just wonder how you found out about the Divine Devil Temple? Yun Chujo sighed. I'm sure all of you know that I was originally from the Azure Mystic Continent. The Divine Devil Hall had also extended their claws into the Azure Mystic Continent. The people of the Azure Mystic Continent had worked together to kill some of the people from the Divine Devil Hall. However, there were still 2 fish that escaped the net. One of them was even torn through the void and rescued. I had always been worried that the Divine Devil Hall would not let this matter rest. I did not expect that they would also have designs on the Tianyuan continent and the Netherworld continent. Jean Mantang could not help but be very worried when he heard that. Miss Yun, that protector son that you mentioned just now has escaped. Will he make a comeback? Yun Chujo nodded. Master Jean, you are right to be worried. Therefore, we cannot immerse ourselves in the joy of victory. We have to do 3 things immediately. The first thing is to immediately spread public opinion, and spread the news about what Vice Palace Master Lu said, and the incident at the Divine Devil Hall. Firstly, we must let everyone take precautions. Secondly, we must also prevent the guards at the border from being incited by Protector Sun. The second thing is that Si Tusher of the Netherworld Academy is a direct descendant of Vice Palace Master Lu. Perhaps he still has a part of his men. In order to prevent him from going to the front line to incite others, we must first capture him. The third thing was that Shang and V immediately gathered the leaders of the various major powers to come to the Nether Palace. She wanted to expose the truth of the matter to the public, so as to avoid arousing unnecessary speculation. Jean Mantang frowned. Miss Yun, although your arrangements are very appropriate, what if those heads don't believe what we say? After all, Vice Palace Master Lu is already dead. It would be difficult to convince the public with just a jade token. Secondly, what if those people at the border really rebelled? Yun Chujo smiled faintly. She took out an item from her hand. I'm afraid that I won't be able to testify even if I die. That's why I've already recorded what Vice Palace Master Lu said with the recording stone, not to mention that there are so many witnesses. As for those people at the front line, although there are quite a number of them, without Vice Palace Master Lu as the pillar of support, coupled with the many days of suffering at the front line, I'm afraid that they're already eager to return. As long as we do it properly, there won't be any waves. Hearing Yun Chujia's words, Jean Mantang could not help but sigh when he saw the recording stone in Yun Chujia's hand. This Yun Chujo was really a monster. Not to mention anything else just under such circumstances. She actually thought of using the recording stone to preserve the evidence. It was truly admirable. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Seeing that Jean Mantang and the others had no doubts, Yun Chujo continued, since everyone has no doubts and the Netherworld Academy is not far from here, we will send a portion of our men to the Netherworld Academy to capture him. Before Yun Chujo could finish her sentence, an old voice was heard saying, Little Jiao, there's no need to waste your energy. I've captured this old brat for you. Following the voice, a person who was tied up was thrown in front of everyone. Everyone focused their eyes and saw that the person who was tied up was the Dean of the Netherworld Academy, Si Tusher. Uncle Master, how did you catch this old bastard? The person who came was the old man of the Heavenly Lake. Yun Chujo asked in surprise. The old man of the Heavenly Lake smiled. Originally, I wanted to help with Bei Ming and the others, but Bei Ming asked me to bring some people to keep an eye on the Netherworld Academy to prevent people from coming over to help. I didn't expect that this old fellow would sneak out of the Netherworld Academy and be caught red-handed by me. Yun Chujo was stunned at first. Then she giggled at Di Biming. Prince Charming, you've gone astray. However, I like you even more now. Hee. Although Di Biming was already used to Yun Chujia's shameless attitude, he was still very embarrassed in front of his future in-laws. If it wasn't for the mask on his face, he would have found a hole to hide in. Yun Chujio and the others began to interrogate Si Tushar again. Si Tushar was not as tough as Vice Palace Master Lu. He did not force him to tell them everything he knew. With the list of direct descendants that Si Tushar had given them, Yun Chujio and the others saved a lot of effort and began to deal with the aftermath. It was not until the morning of the 5th day that the Saintess and Yun Zhongqing had the time to interrogate Di Biming. It was the morning of the Shang NV. Di Biming had been feeling uneasy for the past few days. Now that he heard that his future parents-in-law had summoned him, he felt uneasy. Greetings, uncle and auntie. Di Biming bowed respectfully. And sit down, the Saintess said coldly. Di Biming knew from her tone that he would not be able to get through today. He could only brace himself and sit on a chair at the side. Just as the Saintess was about to begin her interrogation, someone jumped in from outside the house. Beautiful mother, father, you guys are really biased. Why didn't you call me when you called Brother Biming? The Saintess could not help but glare at Yun Chujio. Didn't I ask you to deal with the matters of the Netherworld Hall? Why are you here? Yun Chujio giggled. Mother, aren't you asking the obvious? My brother Shungenvi is a blockhead. He doesn't know how to speak like me. I have to keep an eye on him. Otherwise, what if I say the wrong thing and anger you guys? If you guys get angry, my heart will ache. The corner of the Saintess' mouth twitched. She said it nicely, but she was afraid that they would make things difficult for Di Biming. What an extrovert girl. Originally, the Saintess and Yun Zhongqing were prepared to strike down Di Biming's arrogance and help Yun Chujio look for trouble. However, with Yun Chujia's banter, it turned into a sweet love story between the two of them. The Saintess and Yun Zhongqing felt a little flustered and had no choice but to give up on the interrogation. The Saintess said, Shang Envi, when the matter here has come to an end, let's go back to Qingxian continent to see your grandfather. Hearing the Saintess' words, Yun Zhongqing felt a warmth in his heart and shook the Saintess' hand. Mother, I'm afraid that it will take some time before we can return to Qingxian continent. Because when the matters on your side are more or less settled, I have to return to the Tianyuan Academy first. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be expelled, Yun Chujio said with a bitter face. So be it. What's the point of studying in that lousy academy? Our little Nine doesn't need to go to school at all. In the saint's heart, her daughter was omnipotent and didn't need to go back to school at all. Cough, cough. Mother, I still need to go to school. Back then, I told my aunt that I needed to get into the top 100 of the prodigy roll before she could accept me. Although my aunt had long accepted me, I still have to honor my words. Moreover, although I am quite powerful, my teacher is still in the academy. I still have a lot of things that I haven't learned yet. Yun Chujio said with a smile when the Saintess heard Yun Chujio mention the prodigy role. She thought of how the palace master's wife had made things difficult for Yun Chujio. She glared at Di Biming. Di Biming rubbed his nose guiltily and tried his best to reduce his presence. Alright, if that's the case, then you can go back to the academy first. When your holiday is over, we can return to the Azure Mystic Continent together. The reason why the Saintess wanted to return with Yun Chujio and Shang Envi was firstly because she wanted to reunite her family, secondly, once she arrived at the Azure Mystic Continent, her spiritual power would be greatly reduced. If she did not have Yun Chujio and the others to protect her, she might be in danger. Yun Chujio nodded with a smile and said, Father, Mother, then it's a deal. Oh right, you have to continue working hard. Try to get a little brother in your beautiful mother's belly when you go back. Shang Envi and Yun Zhongqing were blushing from Yun Chujio's stroke of genius. Shang Envi spat. What nonsense are you spouting? Hurry up and go out to work. Sigh. My life is really tough. I finally found my parents, but they treated me as a coolie. Shang Envi, come here quickly and comfort my injured little heart. Yun Chujo said slyly. Di Biming saw that Shang Envi and Yun Zhongqing were extremely embarrassed, so he quickly said, Uncle, Auntie, Little Joe and I will take our leave first. After saying that, Di Biming dragged Yun Chujo, who was still making funny faces, away. Yun Chujo simply jumped on Di Biming's body. Shang Envi, my legs are weak. Carry me. Di Biming sighed and carried the little rascal away. The Saintess and Yun Zhongqing looked at their daughter, who looked like an octopus. They looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Initially, they were worried that their daughter would be bullied after marrying Shang Envi, but now it seemed that they should be worried that their son-in-law would be bullied. Di Biming carried Yun Chujo out of the back hall. Yun Chujo smiled and said, My God, did I come at the right time? If I didn't come to save you, my father and mother would definitely not forgive you. Tell me, how should you reward me? Di Biming curled his lips. How about giving yourself to me? Yun Chujo was so shocked that she almost slipped off Di Biming's back. Oh my, why was this wooden stake acting like it had a stroke? Occasionally it would open its eyes and occasionally it would not open its eyes. When it did not open its eyes, it would come to the poetry competition for me. When it opened its eyes, it tickled my little heart so much that it almost jumped out. Just as pink bubbles were popping out between the two of them, and Feng, the little expert who was bullied, came over miserably. Miss Zhou, the three ladies you asked me to find are here to seek an audience with you. And Feng felt that his life was really tough. Not only did he have to eat dog food, but he also had to endure the cold gaze of his master. Yun Chujo jumped down from Di Biming's back. Wan and the others are here? That's great. I'll go and see them now. After Yun Chujo said that, she ran away. Di Biming glared at Feng. There's no salary for this year. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Feng's heart was filled with tears as he went down miserably. Di Biming was conflicted in his heart. His original body had already said that he would give his body to her, so why didn't little Joe have any reaction? Could it be that she didn't want to marry him? No, after he went back, he had to get someone to betroth him as soon as possible. He had to settle the title first so that he wouldn't be kidnapped. At that time, not only would his in-laws send the betrothal gifts, he would also send the betrothal gifts to little Nine's grandfather. That way there would be no mistakes. When Di Biming thought of this, he finally calmed down and went to deal with the tasks assigned to him. Yun Chujo hopped into the main hall, and indeed saw Mo Wanwan and the other two waiting in the hall. Yun Chujia's transfiguration pill had lost its effect, and she had recovered her original appearance. Therefore, when Mo Wanwan and the other two saw Yun Chujo, they couldn't help but be stunned. What? You don't know me? I am the peerless and extremely intelligent Chujo of your generation. Yun Chujo said with a smile. When Mo Wanwan and the other two saw this shameless attitude, they confirmed that this was without a doubt Lin Chujo. Although the three of them had confirmed Yun Chujia's identity, they were still very cautious. They had all heard that Lin Chujo was actually Yun Chujo from the Tianyuan continent, the adopted daughter of the Saintess, and also the fiancée of the palace lord of the Shang Envi, the future wife of the hall master. Yun Chujo said with a smile, whether I am Yun Chujo or Lin Chujo, the feelings between the four of us will not change. Quickly sit down. I will tell you about my heroic deeds. The corners of Mo Wanwan's and the other two's eyes twitched. This show-off was indeed the same as before. However, they were also very curious, so they let Yun Chujo start bragging. Yun Chujo was bragging for quite a while, then they got to the main topic. Wanwan, Luchin, and Ing Han, the reason why I called you here is to ask if you are willing to work in the Netherworld Hall? You also know that after the cleansing of the Netherworld Hall, many positions have been vacant. There are many positions that are best filled by women, and you are the best candidates. Mo Wanwan and the other two were naturally very eager. They were all from a small family, and the reason why they participated in the selection of Shang Envi was to jump through the dragon gate like a carp. Yun Chujo had given them such a good opportunity, so of course they were willing to accept it. Yoon Chujo chatted with the three of them for a while, and then asked Mama Chi to bring them to perform their duties. This Mama Chi was the one who had tested Yoon Chujo and the others' etiquette. Yoon Chujo had a very good impression of this Mama Chi, so she suggested to the saintess to let Mama Chi take the place of the original Imama. Yoon Chujo looked at the backs of Mo Wanwan and the other two, and could not help but sigh in her heart. She was afraid that she would not be able to get back her old best friend relationship, because Yoon Chujo could see from the three people's eyes that they were more respectful and reserved. Friendship was secondary. Fortunately, Jinji was a heartless person and did not hold any grudges because of Yoon Chujo's true identity. She even wanted to go to the Tianyuan continent. Everything was carried out in an orderly manner. Yoon Chujo asked the saintess to blow up the passage under the Shang'an to prevent any trouble in the future. The guards at the border were just as Yoon Chujo had expected. They had long been fed up with the suffering at the border. As soon as they heard that the two continents had made peace, they immediately retreated. The Jin family had become the #1 family in the Netherworld continent. However, Jin Mantang was a shrewd man. He was afraid that the sudden expansion of the Jin family would cause suspicion from the Netherworld Hall, so he took the initiative to ask Jinji and Yoon Chujo to go to the Tianyuan Academy to study together. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yoon Chujo pursed her lips when she heard the news. She was afraid that this was Jinji's doing. There were many ways to avoid suspicion. Why did she have to give her daughter to me? Sure enough, Jinji came over the next day in high spirits. Little Jiu, this young lady will follow you back to the Tianyuan continent. Are you relieved now? Our Jin family doesn't have any ambitions. Pooey, you say it nicely, but it's just that our strength isn't enough. However, your Jin family can also rest assured. My beautiful mother will definitely not let you have the opportunity to plot against us. Yoon Chujo said bluntly. There was no forever friend, only common interests. Jin Mantang's generation didn't rebel, but it didn't mean that his son, his grandson, and his great-grandson wouldn't rebel. Therefore, the restrictions still had to be put in place. Of course, the Jin family had made a great contribution, so the rewards had to be given. Otherwise, people would be disappointed. However, they could not allow it to develop without restrictions. Little Joe, you are right. It is better to let the Shang'an knock on the Jin family's door, so that some people will not be greedy enough to swallow an elephant, Jinji said. Through the recent events, she had long changed from an arrogant and overbearing young miss to a much more transparent person. Of course, compared to Yoon Chujo, she only had one point of understanding. Yoon Chujo had a 360 degree of understanding without any blind spots. I didn't expect that you, Beauty Jinji, would become so much smarter. Was this incident also your bad idea? Do you really want to go back to Tianyuan Academy with me? Aren't you afraid of being ostracized as a person from the Netherworld continent? Yoon Chujo glanced at Jinji and said. Jinji nodded. This is the result of my careful consideration. I have always been too successful. It's not a bad thing to suffer a little. Besides, don't I still have you to protect me? What's there to be afraid of? Yoon Chujo looked at Jinji in a new light. Some people were not stupid, nor did they not have the courage to change. It was just that they did not have the right opportunity. Alright, since your Jin family took the initiative to give me a hostage, I am naturally willing to accept it. Beauty Jinji, don't worry. Follow me and I promise to let you have a good life. I will also find you a good husband. Yoon Chujo said with a smile. If an ordinary girl heard Yoon Chujo's joke, her face would definitely turn red. However, Jinji also said with a smile, this is what you said. If you don't help me find my good husband, I will not forgive you. Jinji, you are in love with a beauty. Yoon Chujo said exaggeratedly with a grimace. You shut up. No matter how generous Jinji was, she could not stand Yoon Chujo's teasing. The two of them got into a fight. Yoon Chujo was very happy. She felt a long-lost friendship from Jinji. True friendship was like this. It would not be belittled because of the other party's high status, and it would not be bossy because of the other party's low status. Only a friendship built on the same spiritual status would be stronger. Another 3 days passed, and it was finally time to part. Shang Envy's face was full of tears. She no longer wore the veil because Yun Chujo said to her, "Mother, you wear the veil to make everyone feel mysterious, but you have trapped yourself behind this veil. Mother, I believe in you. With your ability, you can definitely rule the netherworld. So, it's fine if you don't want this veil." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yoon Chuji's hilarious banter finally managed to turn the Saint Lattice tears into laughter. Only then did she board the flying spirit tool and leave the hall of the netherworld. Di Biming originally wanted to have a good time with Yoon Chujio, but Jin Ji had been surrounding Yoon Chujio and asking her about the Tianyuan continent. Yoon Chujio was so smug that she could not stop dancing and talking. Di Biming frowned. "Little Joe, I have something to talk to you about. And Feng often goes on missions outside, so he knows more. Just let him explain to Miss Jean." Yoon Chujio thought that Di Biming really had something urgent, so she waved at Feng. "If that's the case, little madman, you can accompany Jin Ji and have a chat." Feng had no choice but to act as a docent again, preparing to explain some things about the Tianyuan continent to Jin Ji. "Prince Charming, why are you looking for me?" Yoon Chujio followed Di Biming to a room inside and asked curiously. Di Biming put one hand on the door, and the other hand held Yoon Chujio in front of him, and his lips fell down. A thought flashed through Yoon Chujio's mind as she was dizzy. "Oh my, I got knocked by the door." After the two of them lingered for a while, Di Biming said in a hoarse voice, "Little Joe, marry me. We will get married after you graduate." Yoon Chujio's thick-skinned face turned slightly red. "My, that hasn't come yet. Even if we get married, we can't have sex." Di Biming's face also turned red. "I didn't marry you to have sex with you. I will feel more at ease if I marry you as soon as possible." Yoon Chujio pursed her lips in her heart. What she said was not what she meant. If she didn't go back, could it be that they were going to kiss? Both of them felt a little embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Di Biming coughed dryly. "Oh right, did your mother tell you about the origin of that seed?" "That seed is not my mother's dowry. When my mother picked me up, I was wrapped in a small quilt. That seed was found inside the small quilt." Yoon Chujio said with a frown. The clue was broken again. Could it be that the only way to get rid of the Guai Chao was to ascend to a higher-level continent? Di Biming touched Yoon Chujio's hair. "Little Joe, you don't have to worry too much. I should be able to ascend in 3 years or a year. When I reach a higher-level continent, I will definitely be able to help you find a way to get rid of the Guai Chao." Hearing Di Biming's words, Yoon Chujio's sense of urgency grew stronger. Damn it, she had to hurry up and cultivate. Otherwise, what if the little goblin from the higher-level continent kidnapped her pretty boy? The two of them chatted for a while more before Yoon Chujio hopped off to look for Jin Ji. When Jin Ji saw Yoon Chujio, she teased, "You're finally willing to come out. You really forget your friends when you see them." "Hurry up and continue telling me about Tianyuan Academy." Yoon Chujio could not help but wonder, "Didn't I ask Feng to tell you about it? Where is he?" "Don't mention it. That crazy kid's story isn't lively at all, and he often stammers. It's not interesting at all, so I don't need him to tell me. Little Joe, your story is more lively and interesting," Jin Ji said with a look of disdain. Yoon Chujio was even more puzzled. Feng was the most eloquent of the gigolo's underlings, so why was he stammering today? It shouldn't be. He must have been too tired recently. Yoon Chujio didn't think too much about it and started blabbering to Jin Ji. Feng, who was in the corner, had a miserable look on his face as he slapped himself. Trash. What a trash. He usually didn't have the problem of stuttering. Why did he become a stutterer in front of Miss Jin Ji? Di Biming ordered his subordinates to return to the Temple of Immortals, while he escorted Yun Chuzhou back to the academy. The people of Tianyuan Academy already knew that the battle at the border had ended. They had also heard about Yun Chuzhou's matter. After all, this rumor spread the fastest. What? Yun Chuzhou sneaked into the Netherworld Palace alone. Not only did she sneak into the Netherworld Hall, but she was also chosen to be the successor of Shang Envi. What? Yun Chuzhou was actually the adopted daughter of Shang Envi of the Netherworld Hall. Yun Chuzhou helped Shang Envi to annihilate Vice Palace Master Liu and his direct descendants. Oh my god, Yun Chuzhou was not human. She was a monster among monsters. How could a little girl do something that many mighty figures could not? Therefore, as soon as Yun Chuzhou's flying spirit tool landed, everyone from the Tianyuan Academy immediately gathered around. Some students spontaneously shouted, "Little Ninth Fairy is mighty. Little Ninth Fairy is the #1 in the world. Little Ninth Fairy is unparalleled in the world." If Yun Chuzhou had a tail behind her, she would probably have gone up to the sky by now. It took her a lot of effort to suppress the corner of her mouth that had curled up. She dismounted the flying spirit tool with a pretentious look on her face and even waved at the crowd in a decent manner. When Jinji saw this scene, she could not help but be shocked. Little Jiu was actually so popular in the Tianyuan continent? Even the Saint Lady was only SOSO in the Netherworld continent. And Feng saw that Jinji was standing at the entrance of the flying spirit tool in a daze. So he could only remind her, Miss Jinji, you should also go down." Jinji nodded and walked down from the flying spirit tool. She was very puzzled in her heart. Why did Di Biming find a stutterer to be his confidant? Could it be that there was something out of the ordinary? After Yun Chuzhou was done acting cool, she and Di Biming followed Din Huangfu to the living room. Yun Chuzhou introduced Jinji to Din Huangfu. "Din, there's no need for Jinji to participate in the entrance test, right? Her situation is special. She can be considered an exchange student from the Netherworld continent. We can also send students to study in the Netherworld Academy in the future. This is called exchanging needs." Din Huangfu thought to himself, "You sure know how to find excuses, but there's no problem in accepting Jinji. After all, if anything goes wrong, the Temple of Immortals will take care of it." Hence he smiled and said, "Since that's the case, Jinji can directly be inserted into your 5th grade Xian class. You've wasted quite a bit of time this time. The semester is almost over." Yun Chuzhou thanked him and said, "Lord Dean, how do you plan to deal with Deputy Dean Yin and Yin Xinlian?" Yun Chuzhou had obtained sufficient evidence from Situsher to prove that Deputy Dean Yin and Vice Palace Master Liu were in cahoots. Although Yin Sulian was not directly involved, she had helped to do a lot of things. Therefore, she immediately thought of a way to inform Din Huangfu. Din Huangfu had already locked up Deputy Dean Yin and Yin Sulian. Din Huangfu sighed. "Since the evidence is conclusive, we naturally have to kill them." Thinking back to when the Netherworld continent invaded, Yin Haoyu was considered a hero when he charged into battle. "I didn't expect that he would betray the Tianyuan continent for his own interests." Yun Chuzhou did not feel emotional. That old bastard had repeatedly harmed her. If she did not kill him, would she still be alive for the new year? Yun Chuzhou's heart stirred as she thought of something. "Dean, I heard that teacher Jisha's cultivation was originally at the level of a spirit paragon. Later on, something unexpected happened and his spirit energy was reduced to the level of a spirit saint. It is said that he is related to Yin Haoyu. What is going on?" Din Huangfu couldn't help but sigh when he heard Yun Chuzhou's question. He recounted what had happened. After the incident at the Netherworld Palace, Deputy Dean Yin's actions became more and more flamboyant. Teacher Jisha was quite stubborn, and after ruining Deputy Dean Yin's good deeds a few times, he was hated by Deputy Dean Yin. 3 years ago, Deputy Dean Yin had deliberately set up a trap, asking Teacher Jisha to take the initiative to help the Academy's spirit herb garden find a spirit herb called Iceporia. Iceporia was a spirit herb that grew on top of 10,000-year-old cedar, and it only existed in the far north. At that time, after Dean Huangfu and the others heard about it, they advised Ji Sha not to go. Although there were people living in the extreme north, the place where the 10,000-year-old cedar grew was very remote, and it was the deepest part of the ice plains. It was really very dangerous. Ji Sha's personality was stubborn, and he did not listen to everyone's advice and insisted on going. Dean Huangfu had no choice but to let him go. Unexpectedly, after nearly a year, Ji Sha only returned. His spirit energy had changed from the 3rd level of the Supreme Spirit Realm to the 9th level of the Spirit Saint Realm, and his entire person had become a lot more haggard. Dean Huangfu asked him what had happened, but he didn't say anything. Dean Huangfu asked him a few times, but he couldn't get anything out of him, so he just let him be. He looked more and more dispirited. If it weren't for Yun Chujia's provocation after entering the school, he would have looked like a slob all the time. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. I thought that old bastardine how you poisoned teacher Ji Sha. Since it wasn't him, that old bastard is useless now. Let's just kill him. That Yin Sulian is a brainless person. Even if she's alive, she's still suffering. Let's kill her as well. If it was in the past, Yun Chujio might have let Yin Sulian live. However, ever since the incident with Zhuo Piaoyu, Yun Chujio knew that in this world where the strong preyed on the weak, if she was merciful to her enemies, it would be cruel to herself. She had to get rid of the root of the problem. After chatting for a while, Dean Huangfu suggested that Di Biming personally execute Yin Haoyu and Yin Sulian. Di Biming nodded in agreement. Soon the guards brought Deputy Dean Yin and Yin Sulian up. Yun Chujio, you bitch. You will die a horrible death. If it weren't for you, our Yin family wouldn't have been destroyed. I will not forgive you even if I become a ghost. Yin Sulian gritted her teeth when she saw Yun Chujio, who was becoming more and more beautiful. Yin Sulian, I'm too lazy to waste my breath on a brainless person like you. You said that you couldn't defeat me when you were a human, but you can defeat me when you're a ghost? Haven't you heard of a saying? Ghosts are afraid of evildoers. Evildoers like me are even afraid of ghosts, so you should give up on that thought. Shut her mouth and listen to the commotion. Yun Chujio said lightly. Immediately, a guard came forward and shut Yin Sulian's mouth. Yin Sulian was so angry that she could only stare helplessly. Brother Huangfu, although I have a connection with Vice Palace Master Lu, I didn't commit any major mistakes. Please spare me on account of our many years of friendship. Deputy Dean Yin said with snot and tears in his eyes. Dean Huangfu sighed. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? There is a cause and effect. You brought this upon yourselves. Do it, Deputy Dean Yin wanted to say more, but the guard raised his knife and died. Di Biming saw that the matter was settled, so he took his leave. Yun Chujio waved her handkerchief and sent Di Biming away. She excitedly pulled Jinji and said, the gigolo is gone, I have regained my freedom. Let's go, I will bring you to the canteen for a meal. Let me tell you, the food in the Tianyuan Academy's canteen is not inferior to that of the Netherworld Hall. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Jinji pursed her lips. You're really a one-man show in front of everyone. You're a Prince Charming in front of everyone. The moment he leaves, he becomes a gigolo. TCH, this is called strategy. What do you know about being single? Yun Chujio said disdainfully. Jinji was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Yun Chujio, so what if I'm single? I'm proud of being single. Let me tell you, a person like you who is about to marry a woman is trapped. Person like me has a wider choice. Go and be envious. Who said I'm going to marry a gigolo? I have to go and challenge the prodigy role first. You've reminded me that I have to go and challenge the prodigy role. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Her little fairy Jo's resume was going to be filled with a heavy stroke. Top 100? How boring would that be? If she wanted to be first, she would be first. Yun Chujio took Jinji to lunch and then took Jinji to tour around Tianyuan Academy. Yoon Chujio now had a halo around her wherever she went. Firstly, everyone admired her for taking care of the netherworld in such a dangerous situation. Secondly, everyone was really afraid of her evil schemes, afraid that she would take revenge on them. Therefore, they all nodded their heads and bowed their heads in flattery. Yoon Chujio's heart was filled with joy. After being a wife for so many years, she had finally become a mother-in-law. Thinking back to when she had just entered the Tianyuan Academy, everyone called her a waste. Now who dared to call her a waste? What was this called? This was called a face slap with strength. It felt great. Yoon Chujio originally planned to let Jinji squeeze in the same courtyard as her first. Once there was a suitable dormitory, she would move out. Unexpectedly, a student came over eagerly. Class monitor, there is a courtyard not far from your dormitory that is empty. You can let senior Jinji live there. Yoon Chujio brought Jinji to that courtyard to take a look. It was not bad, and Jinji moved into that dormitory. After Yoon Chujio arranged Jinji, she went to see the dried-up old man. Master! Master! Little Joe is here to see you. Before Yoon Chujio arrived, her voice had already arrived. The dry old man was pacing around the room with a worried look on his face. When he heard Yoon Chujio shout, he forced a smile and said, "Come in. You little brat, you're really amazing. You actually succeeded. He am your disciple. Of course I can't embarrass you," Yoon Chujio said with a smile. The dry old man scolded her with a smile and then asked Yoon Chujio some details before he said, "You haven't broken through for a long time, right? What do you plan to do?" "Master, I'm going to challenge the prodigy role. I'll try my best to get you first place. What do you think?" What big words. If you're studying at the top of the prodigy role, there's still hope. The first place on the overall prodigy roll is Biming. How can you be better than him back then? The old man curled his lips and said, "What's wrong with Biming? The one I surpass is Biming. I want to trample him under my feet." Yoon Chujio said proudly, when she thought about how the palace master's wife knew that not only did she get into the top 100 of the prodigy roll, but she also trampled the pretty boy under her feet. Her expression must have been very interesting. "You little brat, you sure are ambitious. Your master is just waiting for you to get first place. If there's nothing else, you can go back first." The dry old man waved his hand and said, "Master, are you hiding something from me? Every time you wish that I could chat with you a little longer. Why are you in such a hurry to chase me away today?" Yoon Chujio was so smart, her eyelashes were empty. She had long felt that there was something wrong with the dry old man. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. What could possibly happen to me? You're thinking too much, little girl. Hurry up and go back. It's getting late. The dry old man said impatiently. Yoon Chujio asked a few more times, but the dry old man still didn't leak any information. Yoon Chujio had no choice but to leave the dry old man's courtyard. The more Yoon Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. Thus, she jumped to Dean Huangfu's courtyard and said, "Dean, I feel that my master is hiding something from me. Has something happened recently?" Dean Huangfu was taken aback. "No, everything is as usual. Elder Jiang even helped me capturing Hao Yu. I don't see anything wrong with him." "Perhaps you are thinking too much. Elder Jiang has already recovered from his injuries. There is almost no match for him in the Tianyuan continent. What could have happened?" "Dean, since there is nothing unusual, let's put this matter aside for now. I want to challenge the prodigy role." Hearing Dean Huangfu's words, Yoon Chujio felt uncertain. Could it be that she was really thinking too much? Dean Huangfu wasn't too surprised. He nodded and said, "The rest is in a few days. You can challenge it that day. With your current strength, it's not a problem for you to get into the top 100 of the role. If you perform well, it's not impossible for you to get into the top 10. Yoon Chujio proudly raised her head. "TCH, what's the point of reading? I'll challenge the master role then. And I'm going for the first place in the master role. Dean Huangfu's eyes twitched. Then I'll wait and see. Dean Huangfu did not throw cold water on Yun Chuzhou. Although the first place on the master list was not that easy to obtain after years of observation, he found that there was nothing impossible about this monster. Therefore, it was better to speak less to avoid being slapped in the face. Very soon it was the day of rest. Yun Chuzhou brought Jinji and slowly rushed towards the southernmost part of the Tianyuan Academy. The prodigy roll wasn't artificially ranked. Instead, there was a prodigy hall at the southernmost part of the Tianyuan Academy. After the students who were ranked entered the prodigy hall, the more passes they passed, the more points they would get. Once the news of Yun Chuzhou challenging the prodigy roll spread out, the students of the Tianyuan Academy originally wanted to go home but didn't want to. Those who wanted to go shopping also didn't want to go. Even those who wanted to go out for a date didn't want to go out. They waited around the prodigy hall to watch the show. The reason why they were so enthusiastic was very simple. Because they all wanted to see if Yun Chuzhou, this pervert, would create another perverted miracle. They wanted to see how far she could go. Yun Chuzhou saw a dark crowd from afar. This guy said to Jinji, "Beauty Jinji, have you seen my popularity?" When they heard that I was going to challenge the prodigy role, these people all stood up and cheered for me. Jinji pursed her lips. Support me? I don't think so. They are all here to watch the show. Do your best. Don't fail to enter the top 100. You'll drag me down with you. Don't worry, I'm not you. I'll definitely get Beauty Jinji first place. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. The way this guy and Jinji interacted was to fight each other. Weren't they happy? When the crowd saw Yun Chuzhou coming over, they automatically opened a path for her. Yun Chuzhou walked in with swagger. Yun Chuzhou had never been here before. She thought that the Pride of Heaven Palace was a magnificent palace. She didn't expect that the so-called Pride of Heaven Palace was actually a thatched cottage. On the plaque there were 3 crooked words. Pride of Heaven Palace. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chuzhou pursed her lips. This was called the Pride of Heaven Palace? How could this be called a palace? This was a thatched cottage. And it was the kind of thatched cottage that had not been lived in for many years. Yun Chuzhou raised her head and looked at the side of the Pride of Heaven Palace. There were 2 huge screens standing there. One of them was the general list of the Pride of Heaven. Di Baiming's name was at the top of the list, followed closely by Xue Wuji's name. As for the list of students, Yun Chuzhou did not even look at it. This fellow had this kind of mysterious confidence. The first place on the overall list was none other than her. Yun Chuzhou walked to the front door of the Prodigy Hall and placed her identity jade token in the groove. Then, she gently pushed open the door of the Prodigy Hall. Yun Chuzhou had just pushed open the door a crack when suddenly, dust flew into the air, choking Yun Chuzhou until she coughed. Cough cough. Cough cough. I'm choking to death. How long has it been since someone challenged the prodigy role? Why is it all dust? Everyone was very puzzled and someone shouted, Little Fairy Joe, recently many people have challenged the prodigy role. Last time during the break someone even challenged the prodigy role. That's right. Little Fairy Joe, I guess there's a sandstorm inside. That's why there's dust on the door. Yun Chuzhou pouted. What sandstorm? This prodigy hall should be an ancient divine artifact or something. The scenery inside was all illusory. She hadn't even entered yet, so how could there be a sandstorm? Yun Chuzhou felt that this Hall of Heaven's Pride was a little strange. However, there wouldn't really be a dead person in this hall. Those who challenged the Heaven's Pride role would be ejected the moment they died, so it didn't matter anymore. Thinking of this, Yun Chuzhou pushed the door even harder and walked in, pushing the dust away. Just as Yun Chuzhou's figure entered, the door closed with a bang. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the small screen beside the 2 large screens. The screen would show the real-time points of the people who entered. At this moment Yoon Chujio's points were 0. After Yoon Chujio entered the Hall of Heaven's Pride, she realized that she was really in a thatched cottage. There was a bed, a desk, and a chair inside. The bed was covered in dust. The desk and chair were also missing a leg and were supported by a stone. Yoon Chujio could not help but frown. Could it be that she had entered the fake Hall of Heaven's Pride? She had also asked some people who had passed the Heaven's Pride roll. After entering, they should have been teleported to the challenge mode, some grass scenes, some ocean scenes, and then killed monsters to earn points. What was the meaning of sending her to this shabby thatched cottage? At this moment, the wuxia novel she had read in her previous life flashed through Yoon Chujio's mind. Usually, when she encountered this kind of situation, she would most likely encounter a place where an unworldly expert passed away. Then, she would be able to obtain peerless martial arts manuals and the like. When Yoon Chujio thought of this, her eyes immediately began to glow with blue light. She began to rummage around. She even rummaged under the bed. Other than the dust on her body, she could not find anything else. Yoon Chujio touched her chin. When she opened the door just now, there was dust coming out. This meant that this thatched cottage really existed. Why did the Hall of the Proud of Heaven suddenly become a thatched cottage? Yoon Chujio gritted her teeth. If she really could not go out, she would first go out and enter again. She did not expect that when Yoon Chujio pushed the door of the thatched cottage, it turned out to be a desolate land outside. The surroundings were gray and it was impossible to walk out. Could it be that this was a trial scene? Perhaps there would be demonic beasts at night. Then she would wait. Thinking of this, Yoon Chujio used a cleaning spell to clean the dust in the house. She took out her luggage and laid it on the bed. She took out her phone book and started reading. The crowd outside the Hall of Heaven's Pride saw that Yoon Chujio had entered for several hours, but her points were still 0. They could not help but discuss among themselves. It's really strange. This Hall of Heaven's Pride should have started the challenge as soon as she entered. Why doesn't Yoon Chujio have any points at all? Yeah, I'm also puzzled. Although the talisman can't be used inside, Yoon Chujio's spiritual power is so abnormal. How could she not get any points? There must be something wrong. Let's wait and see. We can be sure that Yoon Chujio is definitely not eliminated. Otherwise, she would be ejected. Jinji was very anxious. She stretched her neck and kept looking. Fengming and the other two smiled and said to her, "Jinji, you don't have to worry too much. We are already used to little Jiu like this. Whenever she tries this kind of mystic realm, it's always different from others. You just have to wait patiently." Although Jinji knew that Yoon Chujio was a pervert, she had not known her for long. When she heard Fengming say this, she was a little confused, so she said, "Can you tell me about the time when little Jiu tried to enter the mystical realm?" Fengming was a talkative person, so he naturally would not decline. He immediately began to babble to Jinji. After Yoon Chujio finished reading the storybook, she found that it was already evening. Yoon Chujio walked out of the thatched cottage and looked around, but she did not find any way out or any signs of demonic beasts. It seemed that she was the only living creature here. Yoon Chujio gritted her teeth and took out a stack of sudden cracking talismans and threw them at the gray and hazy place. Loud cracking sounds kept ringing out, but it was of no use. Other than the soil on the ground splashing up a little, there was no change at all. Yoon Chujio had no choice but to let Xiao Hanyo and the others take turns to stay up at night and then go to bed. Nothing actually happened at night. Yoon Chujio was depressed. It seemed that this was not a trial at all. She was trapped. What should she do? Should she just wait? Actually, there was another way. She could kill herself and then be bounced out. However, Yoon Chujio had a worry. If this small hut actually existed, then if she committed suicide, would she really die? This guy cherished his life. How could he take such a big risk? Therefore, suicide was absolutely not an option. Damn it. Which bastard did this? I'm here to challenge the prodigy role. Who am I in the way of? He actually trapped me in here. If I know who did it, I'll kill him. Yun Chujo cursed angrily, but it was of no use. There was no reaction at all. Other than Yun Chujo and the three silly cuties, there was not even an ant here. Fortunately, Yun Chujo had sufficient reserves. She would not starve to death, but it was not a problem for her to be trapped like this. Yun Chujo tried using the small purple needles, the little piglet of spiritual power, the purple lightning, and even used a large kitchen knife to hack a few times, but it did not have any effect. After a while, Yun Chujo decided to calm down and clear her mind. No matter how perfect the trap was, there would be flaws. Calm down, calm down. Xiao Hanyo suddenly said, Master. Master, I found a big flaw. Yun Chujo was delighted. What flaw? Master, I remember you said that you can't use talismans in the Pride of Heaven Palace, but you used a sudden rupture talisman. Isn't that contradictory? Xiao Hanyo used an idiom in order to show her knowledge. He didn't care whether it was appropriate or not. Yun Chujo was stunned. That's right, the Heaven's Pride Palace couldn't use talismans, so why could she use sudden rupture talismans? There must be a problem. Xiao Hei, I didn't expect you to be so smart. Yun Chujo complimented. Xiao Hanyo stared at her with his green bean-like eyes and said, Master, since you've admitted that I'm smart, don't call me a stupid bird. It's a blow to my confidence, okay? Yun Chujo pouted. Alright, if your IQ is always on the line, I won't call you a stupid bird in the future. After comforting Xiao Hanyo, Yun Chujo began to think about the sudden rupture talisman. The Pride of Heaven Palace, which originally banned talisman seals, could actually use the sudden rupture talisman. What did this mean? Yun Chujo was slightly excited. This was definitely an opportunity to solve the current predicament. Calm down. Calm down. Yun Chujo forced herself to calm down. She finally thought of two possibilities. One was that this place was really not in the Proud Heaven Palace, so it was not restricted by the rules of the Proud Heaven Palace. The other was that this place was still inside the Proud Heaven Palace, but this place was an illusion. Yun Chujo recalled the time when she saw the Proud Heaven Palace. She once complained that this place should not be called the Proud Heaven Palace at all. This was a thatched cottage, and it had not been lived in for many years. Could it be that this place could be transformed according to people's imagination? Yun Chujo suddenly stood up. She put the three Xiao Hanyo into the spiritual beast bag, and began to imagine that she was in the dormitory. Yun Chujo began to imagine without any distracting thoughts. When she opened her eyes again, sure enough, Yun Chujo found that she was in the dormitory. Even the number of spiritual fruits on the table that she deliberately imagined was exactly the same. Yun Chujo could not help but sneer. It was really like a flower blooming with one thought and a flower falling with one thought. In a normal illusion, as long as the person who was trapped in the array realized that they were trapped in an illusion, they would be able to escape. This illusion actually only changed according to the structure of the person's consciousness and did not break out of the array. This illusion was really brilliant. Then the problem came. How exactly could she break this illusion? Yun Chujo racked her brains and could not come up with a good idea, because all the scenarios in her mind could be created by the illusion. Therefore it was a dead cycle. Even if she imagined that she could break the illusion, it would be fake. Yun Chujo thought about it and realized that there was only one way. That was to find the eye of the array. Only by destroying the eye of the array could she break the illusion. However, where was the eye of the array? Yun Chujo thought for a long time and gave up on the idea of finding the core of the formation because the hope was too slim. She thought of the most direct and stupidest method, and that was to use up all the spiritual stones in the core of the formation. Yun Chujo curled the corners of her lips. Aren't you able to create a situation? It'll tire you to death. In any case, sister's spiritual sense is very strong. I want to see if it's my spiritual sense that is strong, or if you have more spiritual stones. After eating and drinking her fill, Yoon Chujo had a good sleep. When she woke up the next day, she sat down cross-legged on the ground and started to imagine the scene in her mind. Yoon Chujo started to imagine all kinds of scenarios. The scene in front of her kept changing. Yoon Chujo found a problem. The weirder the situation, the slower it was. This meant that the weirder the situation, the more spiritual stones would be consumed. The guy's eyes lit up and he immediately had an idea. This guy was really mean. He started to fantasize about rocket launches, Star Wars, zombie wars, comets hitting the Earth. At this moment, it was already the afternoon of the second day outside the thatched cottage. There were still many people watching. Yoon Chujo has already been inside for a day and a half. Why is her score still 0? Who knows? This Yoon Chujo is always different from the others. I wonder what she will do this time. Suddenly, everyone noticed that the Heaven's Pride Hall was trembling violently. They were so scared that they hurriedly stepped back. Was the Heaven's Pride Hall going to collapse? Why was it suddenly trembling? At the same time, someone pointed at the small screen and exclaimed, "Oh my God! Look!" The crowd was confused. They looked in the direction that the person pointed and saw that Yoon Chujio's points on the screen had turned into a red 1 trillion. Oh my God! 1 trillion? What kind of joke is this? There must be something wrong with the Pride of Heaven Hall. It's not 1 trillion, it's negative 1 trillion. The red color represents a negative number. Oh my God, what did Yoon Chujo do? She actually got a negative 1 trillion points? The person ranked first only has a few 100,000 points, and Yoon Chujo actually got a negative 1 trillion points. This means that she must have done something that made the weapon spirit of the Pride of Heaven list extremely angry. Chi Ling said, what could she have done to anger the prodigy role so much? She was only challenging the trial inside. Even if she was insulting the prodigy role shouldn't be so angry, right? I'm also very puzzled. I can only wait for Yoon Chujo to come out and ask. This Yoon Chujo is really a pervert. She could make such a big commotion just by challenging the prodigy role. Then what exactly happened in the prodigy role? For hours ago, Yoon Chujio's mind was wide open. She began to imagine the scene of the Star Wars. Although the illusory formation had created the scene of the Star Wars, the time it took was more than 10 times more than the other scenes. Moreover, some parts of it were strange. This was understandable. The illusory formation could only extract the scenes from Yoon Chujio's consciousness. However, Yoon Chujo was just imagining things. Naturally, many parts of her thoughts were not perfect, so the illusory formation had to perfect some of the flaws. This time, the illusory formation was in trouble. Even those who repaired it could not tell which was ancient and which was modern. However, Yoon Chujo was very imaginative. In the end, she even thought of black holes, multidimensional space, and so on. Then there was no then. Yoon Chujo heard a boom and the scene in front of her changed. She found herself in a palace. There was a broken formation disk not far in front of Yoon Chujo. Fortunately, Yoon Chujo had many defensive spirit weapons on her, so she was not injured. Yoon Chujo jumped up and looked closer. The spirit stones in the formation core were all shattered, and even the formation leaves were blown up into pieces. This fellow rubbed his chin and muttered, "Could it be that he has exploded in anger? Isn't his endurance too weak? I still have many scenarios that I haven't thought of yet. For example, mecha, aerial base, the microscopic world." Before Yoon Chujo could finish her words, some of the remaining formation leaves had exploded once again. Fuck! Can the formation disk even turn into a corpse? It'll just die a quick death. Yoon Chujo ridiculed as she looked around. This was probably the real Heaven's Pride Hall, but she did not know what level was next. Yoon Chujo waited for a while, but the scene in front of her did not change. This fellow was puzzled. Could it be that what she was seeing now was still an illusion? In order to verify if the scene before her was an illusion, Yoon Chujio imagined the scene of her bullying D Biming. The scene before her did not change, so it seemed that this was not an illusion. Since it was not an illusion, why didn't they start the test? What Yoon Chujio did not know was that the weapon spirit of the Heavens Pride Hall had already fainted from anger. Oh heavens, oh earth, why did he provoke such a pervert? He wanted points to challenge the array, but this guy, she wanted his life. That was the 10 heavens 9 earth myriad illusions array. What on earth did this pervert do? He actually made the 10 heavens 9 earth myriad illusions array's rune spirit self-destruct with nothing to live for? After a while, Chi Ling got up. He howled in pain, "Stupid girl. I'm not done with you. Not only did I give you 1,000,000,000 points, I also want you to die a horrible death. I want you to never forget the shadow of death for the rest of your life." Chi Ling had tears in his eyes as he began his revenge. Yoon Chujio was using a rolling pin to hit the bluestone on the ground. This guy was addicted to picking up scraps, thinking that there might be some hidden treasure room down there. Seeing this scene, Chi Ling gnashed his teeth. Yoon Chujio only felt a white light flash in front of her eyes. When she opened her eyes again, the scene in front of her made her so angry that she wanted to bang her head against the wall. Unlike her usual experience, there were no demonic beasts or demonic plants in front of her. She was actually facing people. People wearing ancient costumes. Those people were not cultivators but ordinary people. They held torches in their hands and shouted loudly, "Burn this jinx to death." Yes, only by burning this jinx to death can the people in our village survive. This jinx has killed her parents, and now she is trying to kill us. Only when she is dead can we have peace. Otherwise we will all be killed by her. If she was not tied to the pillar, if she was not the jinx they were talking about, and if there were not a lot of dry wood around the pillar, Yoon Chujio would still be happy to tell them about it, something about jinx or comet. But damn it, how could she keep her life now? Yoon Chujio tried it, but her spiritual power couldn't be used at all. She couldn't use the spiritual beast bag, the immortal sword, or the talisman seal. The rope on her body was extremely strong, and it was impossible for her to break free. Yoon Chujio was still hoping for a fluke at the beginning, and she started to imagine other scenes in her mind, but it was useless. Just as Yoon Chujio was frowning, a gloating voice came from her mind, "Stupid girl, this Chi Ling is kind enough to tell you a few things. First, your current points are minus 1,000,000,000, the lowest in history. Second, unless you can make these people not only let you go, but also call you a fairy, you will only be considered to have passed this test. Third, if you can't escape, you will die a horrible death. They will burn you alive. Fourth, you are now an ordinary person who can't cultivate, and a weak little girl who can't even truss a chicken." Yoon Chujio was so angry that she gritted her teeth. This weapon spirit was too evil. This test was much harder than killing those demon beasts. The people below were all superstitious, not to mention calling her a fairy. If she didn't think of a way quickly, she wouldn't even be able to save her life. Some villagers had already started to pour tung oil on the firewood. As long as there was a small spark, Yoon Chujio would be burned alive. Yoon Chujio could roughly guess from the villagers' mouths that the identity set by the Chi Ling for her should be that of an orphan girl without parents. Moreover, something bad must have happened in the village recently. That was why there was such a scene today. Yoon Chujio's brain was working rapidly. What should she do? Plead for mercy? It was definitely useless. These people had been brainwashed. If they couldn't bear it, they wouldn't be holding torches to burn her to death. An old man with triangular eyes looked at the sky and said, "It's time, execute." Everyone listened to the old man and was about to throw the torches onto the firewood. Yoon Chujio finally thought of an idea and began to laugh wildly. "Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Burn me to death. As long as you burn me to death, all of you will be buried with me. Do you know who I am? I am the dragon lady beside Guanyin Bodhisattva. I am here to experience the tribulation of love in the secular world. Do you know why my parents are dead? That is because they are not mortals to begin with. After completing their mission, they will naturally return to the heavenly court. You foolish mortals, burn me to death. You have obstructed my love tribulation. You will be reincarnated as cattle and livestock in your next life. Come on, burn me. At worst, I will just find a new place to experience my love tribulation. Yun Chujo thought to herself, this is called fighting poison with poison. Aren't you superstitious? I am best at posturing. Today I will act like a charlatan for you. The villagers were superstitious. Otherwise they wouldn't have burned Yun Chujo to death. Now that they heard Yun Chujio's words, some of them hesitated. Village chief, what should we do? This Yun Chujio is usually quiet. Why did she suddenly say something like this? Could what she said be true? A middle-aged man asked the old man with triangular eyes. The old man with triangular eyes looked at Yun Chujio and San Jiaoyan. Yun Chujio could not help but complain. Damn it, the identity given to her by the Qiling was also called Yun Chujio. The damn Qiling must have done it on purpose. The clothes on the old man were obviously much better than the others. The old man looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously. Humph! Don't listen to her nonsense. If she was the dragon lady, would she be afraid of the fire? Wouldn't she just rain and put out the fire? When the villagers heard the village chief's words, they immediately had no scruples. They shouted that they wanted to burn Yun Chujio to death. Some of them even prepared to throw the torches in their hands onto the dry wood. Yun Chujio could not help but curse in her heart. Damn it, this person was much harder to fool than a demonic beast. Could she be burned to death just like that? Although she would not really die, it was too damn embarrassing. Yun Chujio raised her head by accident. Although it was night, the moon was big and round tonight, so the scene in the sky was still very clear. Yun Chujio's heart suddenly moved. She sneered and said, "You mortals are really stupid. Do you think that we dragons can reign as we please? The rain was ordered by the Jade Emperor. If the timing and place were wrong, then we will be punished by heaven." Hearing Yun Chujio's words, the villagers felt that it was very reasonable, so their hearts wavered again. The village chief stared at San Jiaoyan and said, "Yun Chujio, although what you said makes some sense, how can you prove that you are the dragon lady? You can't just say a few words and you are the dragon lady, right?" Yun Chujio sneered. "Of course I can prove it. There will be a heavy rain tonight. And because you have offended me, there will be a strong wind and maybe even lightning and thunder." The village chief could not help but sneer. "Yun Chujio, are you crazy? The moon is big and round. It's obviously a sunny night. How can it rain? Did everyone hear that? This Yun Chujio is just spouting nonsense. Burn her to death. If you're not afraid of retribution, then burn her. I'm tired of staying in this secular world. It's a good time to return to the heavenly court to take a look. It's been a long time since I've tasted the peach of immortality. Just thinking about it makes me want to eat it. As for you guys, you'll soon become pigs, horses, cows, and sheep. Just how pitiful." Yun Chujio curled her lips. She said nonchalantly. When the villagers heard Yun Chujio's words, they felt a little terrified. The middle-aged man who asked the question earlier said to the village chief, "Village chief, I think what she said is quite mysterious. I remember that the day her mother gave birth to her, it rained cats and dogs. Could it really be the dragoness?" "Yes, I also remember that there was such a thing. This old woman was the one who delivered Yun Chujio." An old lady echoed. When these two people said that, the rest of the people were a little hesitant. The middle-aged man said, "Village chief, didn't she say that there would be rain tonight? Then let's wait and see. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's just one night. At most, we can burn her to death tomorrow in the daytime." The villagers were afraid of retribution. They also agreed one after another. "Village chief, what blacksmith's son said makes sense. Why don't we see if it will rain tonight? Otherwise, if we really burn the dragon lady to death, We will get our retribution sooner or later. The village chief rolled his triangular eyes and snorted coldly. All right, since you insist on it, then let's wait for one night to see. However, if it can rain on this day, it will be a ghost. There was no need to untie the rope on her body, in case she had to retie it tomorrow. Leave a few people to watch over her, and the rest of you can go back. The village chief picked a few strong villagers to stay here, and the rest of them left. Yun Chujio heaved a sigh of relief. If it wasn't for the damned weapon spirit that required these people to call her a fairy to pass the checkpoint, Yun Chujio would definitely have thought of a way to trick the villagers to untie the rope and escape. Now, in order to complete the mission, I'm just gonna have to put up with it. The villagers were all from poor families, so they did not mind the dirt, lying on the ground ready to sleep. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes, stretched her neck and howled the divine song, hiss, 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 all in the dead of night. Yun Chujio's strange singing, coupled with her staring eyes and grimacing teeth, scared the villagers to the point of peeing. They had never heard such a strange song before. They all thought that Yun Chujio was chanting a spell, and a timid one immediately knelt down. Dragon Lady, please spare my life. Dragon Lady, please spare my life. Yun Chujio ignored them and started singing Jiangnan style and apple pin again. The villagers were so scared that they were trembling. A brave villager said with a fierce expression, Don't be scared by her. She must be singing randomly. What basin, what love is broken, it's all nonsense. Yes, she must have lost her mind because of the stimulation. Let's sleep, don't worry about her. The other villagers echoed. The villagers gathered their courage and laid down again. At this moment, the full moon was covered by the clouds and the wind started to blow. At first, it was only a light breeze, but then the wind became stronger and stronger with Yun Chujia singing in the middle. The villagers hugged each other in fear. Could it be? Could it really be raining? Foolish mortals, your retribution has come. The storm and thunder should be more violent. Yun Chujio stretched her neck and shouted sharply. The few villagers trembled even more violently. The one who was a little braver stammered, Don't be afraid. It's just the wind. No, it won't rain. As soon as he finished speaking, a thick bolt of lightning cut through the night sky and charred an old locust tree beside it. The villagers were so frightened that they quickly knelt on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly. Dragon Lady, please spare my life. Dragon Lady, please spare my life. We were blinded by lard and wronged you. Please forgive us. Sigh, all right. After all, we are villagers of the same village. Send me back to my home first. I'll think of a way to send a message to my friends in the heavenly court so that they can quickly withdraw their supernatural powers. Yun Chujio sighed and said. The few villagers were almost scared out of their wits. They did not care about what the village chief said. They quickly untied the rope on Yun Chujio's body and said, Dragon Lady, let's go quickly. Yun Chujio moved her stiff limbs and followed the few villagers into the village. This was a piece of wasteland outside the village. It was not very far from the village. Yun Chujio did not know the way, so she deliberately left behind. At this time the rain had become even heavier. The strong wind made people's steps somewhat unsteady, not to mention that there was thunder and lightning in the middle. The villagers were so scared that their faces were pale and their legs were weak. They finally arrived outside a courtyard with great difficulty. Dragon Lady, please tell the immortals to stop using their divine powers. If this wind continues to blow, the crops in the field will be completely destroyed. Sigh, I am a kind person. Don't worry, it will not rain for at most 4 hours. Although Yun Chujio was in a sorry state after being drenched by the rain, she was used to being pretentious at this moment. She really looked like she was floating in the air. The few villagers thanked her profusely and then dispersed. Yun Chujio curled her lips, pushed open the wooden door, and walked into the courtyard. She originally thought that this identity was an orphan girl who lived in a thatched cottage or something. She didn't expect it to be 3 tile-roofed houses. The courtyard was also quite orderly, and it seemed to be in good condition. Yoon Choo-jo didn't have time to check too much. She ran into a room and found a set of clean clothes to change into. There was a bronze mirror on the table. Yoon Choo-jo looked at it and found that this identity's appearance could only be considered delicate and pretty. Then she looked at the ring on her hand and the spirit beast bag that had disappeared. It seemed that her spiritual sense had been transferred to this village girl by the Qi Ling. Yoon Choo-jo curled the corner of her mouth. Soul-piercing? She had to admit that the Qi Ling city knew how to play. Damn it. Fortunately, she had learned some popular science books about the weather in her previous life. Otherwise, she might have been burned alive. It turned out that when Yoon Choo-jo looked at the sky, she found that although the moon was high in the sky, there was a large cumulonimbus cloud above her head. The cumulonimbus cloud was also called thunderstorm cloud, and it was often accompanied by lightning and strong winds. There were 3 conditions for the formation of cumulonimbus cloud: a large amount of unstable energy, sufficient water vapor, and enough impact force. Yoon Choo-jo muttered, "Tsk, the weapon spirit forcefully brought my soul here. And naturally, it would trigger the change in energy. If the weapon spirit knew that this cumulonimbus cloud was formed indirectly by it, would it be so angry that it would vomit blood? Damn Qi Ling, although you can create an identity for me, you can't come in and change the rules. I'll let you see, although I, Yoon Choo-jo, don't have any spiritual power. But with my incoherent wisdom, I can still make these villagers worship me as a god." After Yoon Choo-jo bragged about herself, she began to look at the furnishings in the room. Although the furniture in the room was not considered expensive, it was considered outstanding in this mountain village. Yoon Choo-jo thought of the 3 tile-roofed houses and could not help but have a vague guess in her heart. The 3 tile-roofed houses and the furnishings in the room would definitely attract the attention of some people. As long as the orphan girl died, these things would probably fall into the hands of someone with good intentions. Therefore, there must be a conspiracy behind this. What I like the most is to expose a conspiracy. Thinking about it, it's really wonderful. This fellow is really generous. After thinking for a while, he went to bed and fell asleep soundly. On the other side, the Qi Ling was hopping with anger. Fuck. That damned brat. She actually made up some dragon girl. Those stupid humans actually believed it. It was just a rainstorm. This was purely a coincidence. Qi Ling would never admit that it was the energy change it caused. If that was the case, wouldn't it be a slap in the face? Although Qi Ling wanted nothing more than to stop the rain, Yoon Choo-jo's guess was right. Qi Ling did not have the right to change the rules of this small world. She could only watch Yoon Choo-jo's performance as a bystander. The rainstorm lasted for less than 4 hours before it stopped. The full moon hung in the sky again as if nothing had happened. The villagers were worried. Yoon Choo-jo said that it would rain, and it did. She said that there would be strong wind and lightning, and there was indeed strong wind and lightning. Was she really the dragon lady? Wouldn't they be punished for treating her like that? So, early in the morning, the villagers gathered outside the village chief's courtyard. When the village chief showed up, the few villagers who were on duty last night quickly said, "Village chief, yesterday was really too scary. After the dragon lady chanted the spell, the sky started to thunder and lightning. We tried our best to persuade her, but after the dragon lady agreed to go home, she had the people above her put away her magical powers, so we sent her home." As expected, in less than 4 hours the wind and rain stopped. When the village chief heard that, San Zhaoyan immediately glared. "What? You actually dared to let that jinx go? You guys are really stupid to the extreme. What's so strange about this god raining? It's just a coincidence. It's over. She must have taken the opportunity to escape. The people of our village will continue to be unlucky." When the villagers heard that and recalled the strange things that had happened recently, their hearts began to waver again. Was this Yun Chujo the dragon lady or the Jinx? What are you waiting for? That Jinx won't be able to run far. Hurry up and chase after her. The village chief shouted in exasperation. Just as the villagers were about to chase after her, they heard someone say lazily, "Who are you chasing after?" "Yun Chujo? You Jinx, how dare you come here? Tie her up." The village chief was stunned for a moment before he shouted loudly, "Wait, I've already proven that I'm the reincarnation of the dragon lady. How dare you catch me? Do you all want to die?" Yun Chujo said indifferently. The village chief rolled his triangular eyes. "What bullshit dragon lady? If you were the dragon lady, why didn't you say it before?" The villagers also looked at Yun Chujo with puzzlement. "Yes, why didn't you say it before? Sai, your question is really stupid. Which immortal didn't have a seal placed on them when they descended to the mortal world? I'm naturally no exception. It's just that yesterday at the critical moment, an old friend opened my seal, and I only remembered it now." Yun Chujo curled her lips. She spoke in a high and mighty tone. The villagers looked at Yun Chujo, who had a completely different temperament from before. When they recalled the storm last night, they were 70% convinced. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.